All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to Wednesday night class. Good to see everybody in person, and good to see everybody online. Shout out and shalom to Houston, Virginia, and Rochester, New York. Our brothers out there, wonderful time at the Passover. We should be able to get maybe to see Houston coming down for this second Passover we have here in San Antonio this coming weekend. Shout out and shalom to Kawakab Cobb down in Guatemala, Amiatza in London, and his congregation out in Georgia, California, and all over the world. Shout out and shalom to the brothers in Detroit, Florida, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and anybody else that watches online. Shout out and shalom to your families as well. And today is going to be kind of like a new class. Not new, it's not new, but it's new, maybe a new angle about showing the interior of us. You know, the title of the class is called Uncut Gems, like gemstones, uncut gems. You know, so like uncut gemstones, because when the Most High gets us out of the world, we're in a raw form, very raw form. But there's ways to let me Ecclesiastes chapter 2 verse 1.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1.
Yeah, read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
It says, Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1 says, if we come to serve the Lord, this is why we're all here. That's why everybody's in this classroom and everybody's online, because we want to get closer to the Lord. That's why we do the things we do. We care about our relationship with the Father. He says, if you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for what?
Temptation.
Temptation. Go ahead.
Set thy heart aright.
Get your mind right. Go ahead.
And constantly endure.
Constantly endure, meaning you're going to have to endure what it takes to get close to the Lord. Because what is the Most High doing with us ultimately? And this is kind of like the giveaway to why we named the class Uncut Gem. Jump down to verse 5.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire.
So when it says gold is tried, another word for tried or trial is a test. Gold is tested in what?
Fire.
Heat. So how do you purify anything?
Extreme heat.
You have to take it through certain conditions that are abnormal to its normal state. And so when the Most High, in order to get closer to the Father, there's going to be a purification process. There's going to be a cleansing process. There's going to be a purging process. The Most High said that in order to come to Him, He says, if you're going to be accepted, you got to be put through the what?
Fire.
The fire. The fire will examine, test, and prove the quality of the material. So, like anything, in order to get the purest form of anything, you have to cut it a certain way. You have to purify it. You have to heat it a certain way. You have to temper it a certain way. And no different than gemstones. You know, when gemstones are found raw, whether it be Russia, Africa, whatever, wherever, you know, they're in a raw state. They have to be cut. They have to be cut with laser beams. And the more you're able to cut a diamond or cut a stone, and you're able to remove the dross or the gloss, the faded areas, and you're able to get down to the clearest point where there's no carbon deposits and it's pure. You know, depending on what stone, if we talk about a diamond, I think VVS1 is considered the top-notch stone where there's actually no flaws in it, and that's why the value is so high, because it's straight clarity, pure clarity. And but the higher quality the stone, the more clear, the less imperfection, the more the value. No different than gold. Gold is sold in carats. You know, 24 carats being the purest form of gold. That means there's nothing else but pure gold in it. If you have 18 karat gold, then that means you have 18 parts gold. You have 6 parts something else. So the higher you go up in carats, the more pure the gold is. So we're that way when it comes to the Father. The closer we get to the Most High, the more He's going to be purifying us, examining us, putting us to the test and the trials, to consider, are we acceptable, to make us acceptable. So the Most High looks at us the same way. We got to be purified. We just can't come to the Most High in this raw form and raw fashion and be acceptable. There's got to be some Some purification. So let's read that one more time, y'all.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 5.
Verse 5.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire.
Go ahead.
And acceptable men in the furnace of adversity.
And acceptable men in the furnace of adversity, man. A furnace is not a comfortable place. A furnace is a place of discomfort, extreme heat. You know, in gemology, or, you know, people that deal with precious metals, they call it a crucible. And that's also what the Marines call their basic training. They call it the crucible, you know, where you get forged, you know, where you forge metal, you know, metallurgy. You take metals and heat them up high, at high temperatures, and you get the purest out of them. And then you fold metal, and the more you fold metal, the more pure and more stronger it becomes. You know, like Japanese steel is folded several times over. You know, you can cut through it damn near anything with one slice when it's folded like that. So the Most High looks at us the same way. You know, the more He puts us through, the more He's folding us like metal, the more stronger and more tempered we become. All right? So we have to endure things. So let that go, and let's get back to the point of the class. Let's go to Luke chapter 4, verse 18. And this was this brings us right up to why Yahweh Shai is so important and so critical for us. Let's go to Luke chapter 4, verse 18.
Luke chapter 4, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
Reads, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me.
So Christ is saying that the Most High put His Spirit upon Him. He said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. For Christ has a mission. He has a purpose. And there's a designation of why the Most High put His Spirit on Christ. Let's read that.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He hath anointed me to preach the gospel.
He says He anointed me to preach the gospel. And so Christ was commissioned to preach the gospel. Read on.
To the poor.
To who?
To the poor.
To the ones lacking. Who else?
He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted.
So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with Christ. The Spirit of the Most High was put on Christ for Him to teach and raise up and resurrect the poor, the brokenhearted. What else?
To preach deliverance to the captives.
To preach deliverance to those that are bound with strongholds, whether that's mental handicaps, physical handicaps, spiritual handicaps and flaws. So the Most High knows that we're like these uncut gems. And without Christ, we would never have a chance. We would remain in our filth. We would never have opportunity to be better. So Christ saying the Spirit of the Most High is on me to help me, upon me to help those that have need. Read on.
And recovering of sight.
He says, I came to restore sight to who?
To the blind.
Who else?
To set at liberty them that are bruised.
And for those that are bruised, that have no way out of their circumstance, Christ said, I come to set them at liberty. So Christ came down with a mission. And this mission was always known before His coming. Let's go to Isaiah 61:1 of where Christ got this from. And where it was already read or written that He would come for this purpose.
Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1. The Spirit of the Most High power is upon me, because the Most High hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek.
And it says now those that are suffering, enduring injury, patiently without resentment, there's a way out. There's an exit of your suffering. Go ahead.
He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted.
Go ahead.
To proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound.
So those that have no hope, no chance, Christ came to give those opportunities and hope to those that had no chance and no hope. So it was never the Most High's intention to leave us in a raw, unbeneficial state, and broken down state. It was never His intention to leave us broken. Let's go back to where we were in, matter of fact, read on.
Verse 2. to proclaim the acceptable year of the Most High, and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn,
So this is Isaiah. Read on.
to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes.
Think about what the Most High, what Isaiah is saying. The Most High is going to exchange our condition from being in ashes to beauty. There's going to be a conversion from ashes to beauty. So where we come from is a raw, dirty state. And the Most High is going to make us shine. And he's going to polish us. And that's by way of Christ. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any hope. We would stay these uncut gems, so to speak. These raw elements of nature. Read on.
Beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness.
Think about what he's saying. For those that are depressed, that suffer affliction, that have issues, that are broken mentally and physically, and that are suffering on the inside, he says Christ comes to release those from all these conditions. Read.
That they might be called trees of righteousness,
Go ahead.
the planting of the Most High, that he might be glorified.
So that the Most High could come back and get his glory. Now let's go back to Luke chapter 4, verse 18, and then read verse 19.
God. Luke chapter 4, verse 19.
Read
To
that.
preach the acceptable year of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Verse 20. And he closed the book, and he gave it again to the minister,
Go ahead.
and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him.
Go ahead.
And he began to say unto them, This day is the scripture fulfilled in your ears.
He said, this day I fulfilled this scripture in what?
Your ear.
In your ears.
In your ears. So all Isaiah was preaching about was the coming of this release of stress, anxiety, pressure, brokenheartedness, downtroddenness, all these conditions and states that we live in, that we're in on a regular basis. Christ said, this is the day that this scripture has been fulfilled. Now, let's go to Romans chapter 4, verse 8. Matthew chapter 4, verse 23 first. Because
Again?
Because what we want to read is Christ said this was fulfilled in your ears, right?
Yes.
Now, when he sat down and said this is fulfilled, did he is that all he ever did was just make that proclamation that I fulfilled the word, or did he do something? Let's go to Mark chapter 4, verse 23.
Matthew or Mark?
I'm sorry, Matthew.
Matthew chapter 4 and verse 23. And Yahushua went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues.
So we just read he was teaching in the synagogue in Luke, right? And he said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, right? So Christ was reading the scriptures in the synagogue. Is that all he was doing? Read on.
And preaching the gospel.
And he was preaching to the captives, right? We read that in Luke. Read on.
And preaching the gospel of the kingdom.
Go ahead.
And healing all manner of sickness.
So he wasn't just preaching and talking.
Wow. Wow.
When Christ said this is fulfilled in your ears, that was just the beginning. He put actions behind his words. So not only did he say this has been fulfilled in your ears, but he went back and showed through his actions that he was the deliverer. He was delivering people from their situation. So he said he did what?
And healing all manner of sickness.
And he was healing what?
All manner of sickness.
So, because there's no way to sit and give a list. The Bible just makes it quick and says all manner of sickness. But when you look at the definition of manner, get the definition of manner.
Right. Got manner, form, method.
And so he says he healed all forms of sickness, all methods of sickness. What else?
Manner also means custom or habitual practice.
Yep.
That can be a sickness. Ill practices.
Bad habits. Bad habits.
Bad customs, bad habits. It says sort or kind. You got that?
All sorts and all kinds. What else?
It says way or mode of things.
So instead of giving a whole list, there's actually you can buy a medical encyclopedia of diseases. They already exist, and they're like 700 pages thick, and you can read of all different types of diseases, from blood pathogens to psychological issues, nerve issues, organ issues, blood issues, there's all kind of sicknesses, all kind of diseases in the body. There's a whole encyclopedia dedicated to it. There's medical journals that Harvard produces and medical schools produce that are volumes and volumes thick of what ails people. So it didn't give us the direct, exact issues that he's dealing with. It just summing up and saying that when Christ was on the scene, he was aiding and assisting and removing and healing a lot of diseases. He said all manner of what?
Sickness.
There's all kinds. It's all sorts. It's all habitual natures and customs. There's all kind of people come with issues. Too many to name. Our people come with infirmities, deformities,
Yep.
sicknesses, illnesses, problems, maladies.
This is crazy. This is manner. We're looking for synonyms of manner. Another word for manner is attitude. Another word for manner is approach. Another word for manner is means. Another word for manner is system.
Well,
Everybody has their system of doing things, but most people's personal system of doing things is broken.
is wrong, and it never helps them. It's never really the solution. What we master is we don't even master it, but what we suffer from is using coping mechanisms to answer our problems, and it's never a real solution.
Another word for manner is routine.
The routine. I have my routine to cope with my issues, but those routines are not good routines. But Christ came, he says, to heal all manner. So the dexterity of the word manner comes in volumes. It's a multiplicity of problems that we possess as a people. But Christ came on the scene healing us from all different types of ailments. Read on.
Time. And Yahushua went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people.
So he was not just saying and preaching, but he was backing it up with what he was doing in his healing process, feeding our people with spiritual food, solving their problems, giving them real answers to their sicknesses. Read on.
And his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people.
And so because of what he was capable of doing, they brought more sick people to him. And this is what was prophesied that Christ was going to do. Read on.
And they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils.
It says, and those that were possessed with what?
With devils.
Man, so we're talking about Christ came on the scene removing a lot of people's infirmities. He was healing people from sickness, taking devils off people, demons off people. How do devils get on people? Anybody? How do people get devils on them? Anybody have no demons? I guess
whatever that
I've had demons on me. Let me start with myself. I've had demons on me by way of activities, illicit activities, entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's about, you get demons on you by, it's like what you entertain or what you give your mind to when no one's looking, so to speak. Those thoughts or things or actions you do by yourself, with yourself, that's what causes, that's a way of causing demons. I can go in a way.
Yeah. What you got?
Like entertaining vices, ignoring counsels, not taking heed to if someone points out that you may have something that could be a potential issue. You may ignore what you're told, thinking that what they're saying is evil for you. You say it's good for you.
think it is, because you've grown attached to it, or sometimes it's lack of correction.
Or if for a young man,
Yeah.
young man is curiosity.
Yeah.
Young man is curious. I want to know.
Mm.
The
Why
Pandora's
not?
box experience.
Why
Yeah.
not?
I want to
Why
see what
can't
I want to see what all the rave is about.
Yeah.
What happens?
I want to see what happens. Why is everybody so afraid of this and that? I'm curious of how certain things feel.
Why that stuff?
Why do people? What got Solomon? Solomon said he tried everything under the sun. That's what got him. He was curious.
Yep.
He said he gave himself to folly.
How do you know it burns?
And madness.
Yeah,
How you know it burns if you never touch the stove?
yeah. How hot really is it?
I mean,
Hot
you
as
say
light.
hot, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you really mean? Curiosity is a major one that caused people to get demons on them. That's why the scripture says, "Be not curious in unnecessary matters."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real one.
Yeah, because that's for the young man. But we be having demons on us too.
Yeah.
Demons are just thoughts that are contrary to the thoughts of the Most High Christ.
Yeah.
That's why Christ told Peter, "Get behind thee, Satan."
Yep.
He says, "For thou savorest the things of man and not the things of the Most High." You care more about the way men feel and the way men look at things, not the way that the Most High looks at things. So carrying a contrary opinion to what the Most High constitutes as right is also beholding a demon, inheriting a demon. We understand that? So Christ is coming to heal all manner of demons and all manner of sickness and all manner of diseases, which all of us have had at some time or another, or still deal with or fight with.
And connecting to last Wednesday, there are some sicknesses that require us to go to the priest. There are sicknesses that you're supposed to see a doctor, and the doctor got to
A
deal with
physician.
you. But sometimes those sicknesses are to, left-hand corner pocket to get you to bounce to the priest. Go over here, now go back to the Most High. Go back to reading and studying and getting the scriptures.
Yep, it is. And it does connect to last week because all these things are brought on by different ways. Now we also know Scripture, the Psalm says, "Lest the righteous put forth their hand towards iniquity, there shall know what?
Evil come upon them.
No harm come upon them." That means that
Oh, yeah.
if I'm not touching no dirt, I don't have nothing to worry about. Demons can't affect me if I'm not entertaining or dealing with or participating in something illicit. The demons have no power over me if I'm doing what's right. I don't have nothing to worry about. So it's my sins that cause me to bring these demons on me. It's the things that I indulge in. It's the things that I participate with. It's the thoughts that I possess. It's the thoughts that I allow to run in my head to harbor these demons. Read on.
All right. It says, "And his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatics."
He said they even brought to Christ the what?
Lunatics.
Even the lunatic. What's a lunatic? First of all, luna comes from the word moon, which they say that in old times, looking at the moon, staring at the moon, makes you a madman. A lunatic is somebody who is deranged or insane, who is not sane in the mind, who is not sane or regular in the mind. So, or a madman in the mind. So, what he's saying is that Christ was dealing with every issue that we had in Syria and Galilee. Read on.
And those that had the palsy, and he healed
And
them.
the palsy is paralysis. Paralysis comes in different forms. Some people are quadriplegic. Some people are paraplegic. Some people just have the dropsy. Some people just have like a stroke when one side of your body is immobile, and you have I forgot what they call it.
Bell's palsy.
Bell's palsy is a cranial paralysis. That's when you get the Sylvester Stallone when you got half your face dropped down. Adrian, you know what I'm saying? That's why he talk like that, because Stallone only has use of one side of his face. He only has use of one side, and when you don't use the muscles, they fall. There's atrophy. So that's why the right side of his face drops and it sags. And there's no exercises for that. The only thing he can do is put a face mask on to hold his face up. But if you look at Stallone, if you look at his eye droops and his mouth droops, and that's why he talks like that. Because he has a permanent paralysis of Bell's palsy. And Bell's palsy is a cranial issue. I've had it myself, but it can be brought on by infection. You can have a severe throat infection, and after you have a severe throat infection, the swelling or the streptococcus or whatever it is that hits your throat can attack your nerves and your cranial nerve. It comes out of your. You have a huge cranial nerve that comes out of your ear. It wraps around your face. That's what controls your muscles. But when you have a throat virus, you can actually infect those nerves, and those nerves swell and they restrict blood flow, and that's what cuts off the circulation. And the objective is to get antibiotics as best as possible and let it heal and swelling go down on its own. All right. But usually it's brought on by infection. But Christ is, yes, sir.
I read an article about the full moon.
Yeah.
It says parasites in the full moon. You had brought up people that are lunatics in the full moon. There's a connection too. Parasites in the full moon. Did you know that parasites increase their movement in your body, including reproducing around the full moon? This is due to our circadian rhythm being affected by the full moon cycle, making our body produce more serotonin and less melatonin. Parasites love serotonin as it stimulates muscles and allows them to move about more freely in your body. It helps them to reproduce and also get stronger as it increases their ability to feed. Another interesting way that they use serotonin is to communicate with each other and create biofilms in your body so that they can inhibit your immune system from getting rid of them. And if you have a very heavy parasitic infection, you may feel very unwell around the week of the full moon and find yourself feeling depressed, anxious, craving sugar, unable to sleep, increased levels of pain in your body, diarrhea, constipation, and or general weakness and fatigue. It may be due to this higher level of parasitic activity.
There you have it.
So you have this environment.
Well, but we're not saying parasites make lunatics, because some people are born this way.
Yeah.
But we also have, there's something that people do to, there's chemically induced lunatics.
Lunacy.
Yeah, where they've done too many things that cause their mind to not have proper brain function.
Yeah.
Or you cross signals in the brain and you create paranoia, or you create these demons through having an inadequate brain communication, and then your speech is off, your thinking is off, your thinking patterns are off,
And also just having an impure temple, an unclean temple.
Yeah.
Because I'm eating any kind of way.
Yep.
I'm thinking any kind of way. I'm getting literal parasites or I'm getting spiritual parasites. Either way, it's the same process. I'm in environments, like you said, how do people get demons? They're in places they shouldn't be.
The sister just said online, she says she works in psychiatry, and she has more people coming to ER and the psych units when there's a full moon.
Something to it.
Something to it. So something with the lunatics, but it's a derangement of mind. But he's showing how Christ came to heal these things, and our people suffer from a variety. So finish that, Kariah.
So, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those that had the palsy, and he healed them.
And he healed them, right? So Christ didn't just profess that he was the fulfillment of Isaiah 61. He put action behind it. He put action behind his words in the healing process after saying that he was a fulfillment of the scripture. Said the Spirit of the Lord was upon me to break free the captives and to heal the sick and restore the meek. He put actions behind it. But it shows that from Isaiah to Christ, it was always the Most High's intention to clean us up. Always. It has always been his intention. He said it before Christ came, And Christ confirmed it when he came. It's always been the Most High's intention to restore us back to health. And to come from different backgrounds of different issues and different circumstances. Romans chapter 4, verse 8.
Romans chapter 4, verse 8.
Read that.
Romans chapter 4, verse 8. Blessed is the man.
It said, blessed is the man that what?
To whom the Most High will not impute sin.
So, to get your sins removed, it is a real blessing to get your sins removed. Because getting your sins removed brings about healing. A lot of our sicknesses, issues, were brought on by sin. A lot of the madness that we inherit was brought on by sin. A lot of mistakes and the things that we've touched and done brought these demons on us. So he says, blessed is the man that what?
Blessed is the man to whom the Lord will not impute sin.
We all have the need to get our sins removed and to not be at fault. Impute means to blame, to be at fault with. It's a blessing for the Most High to remove our sins. We may not have Christ in the flesh, but we have his words. We have his testimony. And we have the Spirit of the Most High upon us when we abide in his word. So the objective is to remove these issues that we have by way first of removing these sins. The more sins we remove from ourselves, the more pure we become as vessels. We become more pure vessels, no different than it says in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22. In a great house is many vessels, some to honor, some to dishonor. If a man purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor. Remove youthful lust, flee from youthful lust, uncleanness. So the more we purge out of ourselves, the better we are as vessels in the eyes of the Most High. The cleaner we are as vessels in the eyes of the Most High. Give me Proverbs chapter 11, verse 21. And we're going somewhere with this, but we just want to show how Christ came on the scene with an objective. His objective was to restore us to health. And that was always the Most High's intention.
That's always his plan.
And that truly is a blessing, is when you get your sins removed.
So he said, I would not leave you comfortless. That was the agenda the whole time.
That was
Not
the
just
agenda
with
the
the
whole
scripture,
time.
but I'm trying to take care of you. Literally get rid of your sicknesses.
Con, absolutely. You got that?
God.
Read that.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 21.
Read.
Though hand join in hand,
He says, though hand join in hand. Go ahead.
the wicked shall not be unpunished.
He says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. What does he mean when he says, though hand join in hand? Hold this. Somebody else go to Proverbs 16 and 2.
Right there. Couple chapters.
Yeah.
God. Proverbs 16 and 2.
You're going to come back to Proverbs 11.
You got it. Just a couple pages. Proverbs 16 and 2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eye.
He said, all the ways of man are clean where?
In his own eye.
Do I really need help? Do I need to be adjusted?
God.
Do I need to be purged? Not if a man thinks he's clean.
Okay.
If a man thinks he's clean, he doesn't feel like he has a need to be repaired. Or he doesn't have a need to have his sins removed. If I don't feel like I'm dirty or polluted, then why feel that I got to get my sins removed or restored if I feel like I'm okay and there's nothing wrong with me?
You won't accept the help.
You won't accept the help. There's no need for the help. Because I feel like I'm clear. I'm right in my own eyes. I'm okay. I don't need any help. I don't need anybody. I don't need any help. I'm good. I can do by myself. Right? So he said, all the ways of what?
All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes. But the Lord weigheth the spirits.
But the Most High is the one to determine who needs cleaning and who doesn't. But who are we dealing with too? Let's go to jump down to verse 5.
Proverbs 16 and 5. Everyone that is proud in heart.
So a person that feels like they don't need cleaning is what?
Proud in heart.
It says they're proud where?
In heart. Everyone that is proud in heart. In their mind.
Is in their mind. So who's the individuals that feel like they clean?
The ones that are proud in their mind.
The people that are proud in their mind. People that are proud in their mind feel like they're A-okay. I don't need what Christ has to offer me. I'm good the way I am. I don't need Yahushua's help.
I never needed that.
I don't need that. I don't need this
That's
truth.
for other people. That's for you.
That's for y'all. I don't need this Bible. I don't need this truth. I don't need I don't need the program. I'm good. He said, everybody that's proud in what?
In heart
Go ahead.
is an abomination.
And the Most High looks at the proud in heart like a what?
An abomination
Read on.
to the Lord.
Read on.
Though hand join in hand.
Stop. Who holds hands with each other?
The proud.
The proud hold hands together. Proud people look for other proud people to confirm that they're righteous. They listen to hear from other people that I'm okay.
Yep.
It's confirmation.
We are the world. We are the children.
No, it's confirmation. I like to hold hands with people that think the same way I think, because we both agree that there's nothing wrong with us.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Nothing wrong with you.
Nothing wrong with you?
Nothing
Anything
wrong
wrong with you? Nah, man, we cool. We're good.
We're good.
So
We never need this.
people like companionship, but they also like to see and be around people that agree with them in their perspective. I like to be around people that stroke my ego, inflate my brain, and tell me I'm good and I'm okay. I don't like to be around people that tell me the opposite of what I think about myself. I don't like to be around people that tell me the truth about myself. I like to be around people that tells me like I feel about they match my energy. They feel like I feel about myself. I feel like I'm right in my mind. You feel like you're right in your mind?
I'm straight. I've been
So
great.
wait. So this is my friend.
Could it be better?
He says hand joining
That's
hand.
great.
So you know what that means? We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Where's we're right here.
You're gonna say wait.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength.
You not know what's going on.
Yeah, but everybody else tripping. But we're composed.
Real eyes, real eyes,
Real lies.
real lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That used to be my favorite teacher.
Yeah.
People think like that. People have that little.
Yeah, they have this quote unquote relationship or friendship based upon pride. It's based upon the idea and the notion that I'm good and I like to be around people that share the same perspective, that I'm good, you're the problem, I'm not the problem, you're the sick one, I'm not the sick one, you're the one needing help, I'm just fine. These are the ones that join hand. He said, though hand join in hand, it says the proud shall not go unpunished, right? Read that part again.
Verse 5. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination unto the Lord. Though hand join in
We're
hand.
still talking about the proud in heart. No matter how many cosigners that they go get to themselves, because that's what we do. We like to get cosigners.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to get people that agree with me. I like to link up with people that agree with me, that tells me what I like to hear about myself. Match my energy. Feed my ego, or tell me I'm right, or not point out my flaws. So he says that what?
Though hand join in hand, that he shall not be unpunished.
Now go back to Proverbs 11, 21.
Looking back.
So we know who's the one that joined hands. When he say the hand join hand, who he's talking about?
Proverbs 11:21. Though hand join in hand.
And we know who joins hands with people.
Proud.
The proud join hands with people. They find people that co-sign their perspective. They find people that co-sign, that tell them that I don't need any help. I don't need to have my sins removed. I'm clean. I'm good. We look for people that share that perspective with us. That's who we like to bond with. But read on.
Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished.
Read.
But the seed of the righteous shall be delivered.
He said, but the ones that get delivered from their sicknesses, the ones that get healed, are the ones that can acknowledge that I'm not always right, that there's something wrong with me. Those are the ones that get healed. The ones that can admit that I have a problem are the ones that get healed. Not the ones that tell themselves, I don't have any problems. Y'all have the problems. How does the Most High look at this individual? Read on.
Verse 22. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout.
He says, the Most High looks at this person like a pig that's decorated with makeup. The Most High looks at this person like a decorated pig.
It's a crazy image.
It's Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy,
Miss
you're
Piggy and Kermit.
well, look at the decoration and the accessorizing doesn't match the personality. It doesn't. There's a contrast going on
There's a
here.
contrast.
Match the character.
It don't match the character. You're dressed up. You got makeup on. You put jewels on. You put expensive items on, but for the purpose of
Eating slop.
eating slop and getting dirty and jumping in the mud. It's like a conflict of interest. It doesn't even go together. It's like, why put lipstick on a pig? Why put a jewel, an expensive jewel, in a pig's snout? Why put a nose ring on a pig? When
Is it worthy of that?
pigs' nose stay in the poop and filth. What is the Most High saying right here? What is the analogy? What is he showing? It's a conflict of interest. What he's showing is this is how he looks at the proud. Proud people are like decorated pigs. What he's saying is you have no reason in the state that you're in the quality and the caliber of person that you are to be so high and mighty. There's no proof. There's no validation behind the decoration and the accessorizing and all the beautification. But that's what pride does. It's an inflated idea that's absent of truth. Read that verse 22 again.
Proverbs 11:22. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion.
So same as a fair woman, a pretty woman that don't have no discretion. She has no morals and no restraint. She has no self-restraint. She has no respect, no self-respect, no self-control. She doesn't have a continent mind. There's no self-control. She will say anything, will do anything, shameless. So he said that doesn't even look good. But that's how the Most High looks at us with our pride. We're like decorated pigs. Like, why are you so decorated? Do you know who you are? Do you know the state that you're in? Why are you so high and mighty? Psalms, next brother. Isaiah 61:5.
Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks,
He said, and strangers gonna feed your flocks. Read.
and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers.
Go ahead.
But ye shall be named.
Hold on.
Oh,
One more thing. Hold on. Hold on. I want this. It might be Psalms. Hold on. No, it's not Psalms. Let me get this verse real quick. This is what I want right here. (65:5). You see your pen? That's what I want. 65:5. Read this.
Isaiah chapter 65 verse 5. Which say,
What?
stand by thyself.
It says, it's certain people that look at themselves with such arrogance. They say, "Get away from me." When I look at other people, I don't want people that don't share my perspective that I'm right or I'm clean. I tell them to remove themselves from my presence, because you don't think like I think, or you don't make me feel like I feel about myself. You don't inflate my ego. You don't stroke my ego. You don't validate me in certain ways like I want to be validated. So he said, we tell people to get away from me that tell us the truth about ourselves. He says, stand by thyself. Read on.
Which say, stand by thyself. Come not near to me.
Don't come close to me. Get away from me. Why?
For I am holier than thou.
He said, because I'm what?
I am holier than thou.
I'm holier than you. What does pride do?
Roast you up.
What does pride do? It puffs you up. It puffs you up. And you know what pride does?
Gives you a false appearance of your own righteousness.
Yes. But also, it acts out on your relationships. Yep. Pride always acts out on your relationships. Always. It manifests itself in the inability to coexist. Unless you're holding hands with other proud people that agree with you. But he said that this mind frame exists in us. I don't need nobody around me. Get away from me, because I'm holier than thou. How does this that decorated pig? How does the Most High feel about this thought process, this attitude? Read.
These are a smoke in my nose.
What does the Most High say?
These are a smoke in my nose.
Obviously, the Most High is fuming. That's just a euphemism or a metaphor when somebody's angry. I'm fuming. When the Most High said, this is a smoke in my nose, he said he's fuming with wrath. This burns the Most High up for a person to walk around earth thinking, I don't need nobody. Get away from me. I'm good by myself. Because I feel in my mind, I'm elevated above you. I'm better than you.
Smoke to burn or to be kindled to rage in Scripture.
So he's showing you, he said, this is a smoke in my nose. Read on, it'll be more clear. Read.
These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day.
He says, a fire that what?
Burneth all the day.
So he said, the Most High said, for people that have arrogancy, pride, that don't feel like they need any help, they don't think they're sick at all, they don't feel like there's nothing wrong with me, they're not willing to acknowledge anything wrong with them. He says, these individuals, they burn me up all day long. You piss the Most High off all day long. For us to walk around like we're these righteous creatures. And we can't take it. We don't like to be around people that tell us the opposite of what we feel about ourselves. The Most High said, man, this individual burns me up all day long. I can't stand these individuals. If you really know where you come from, if you really can identify your issues and your problems. You understand this, right? Revelation chapter 3, verse 17. Christ didn't say much different than what the Most High is saying here.
Revelation chapter 3, verse 17. Because thou sayest, I am rich.
He said, because thou sayest, I'm good, I'm rich, I'm up.
Yeah, I'm up one.
I'm up one.
Maybe two.
You know, the same guy that made that song, I'm up one. He just got indicted for murder. And and it's not just murder, it's capital murder.
Oh, he's done. He's not coming out.
Yeah. Same guy that made the song I'm up one has now been indicted for capital murder. And hired a hitman to knock somebody off, and now they got the evidence. What he did was he took $40,000 out of his bank. And the prosecutors went and checked the statements and said, as soon as this guy died, we have cell phone communication with you and this other guy that was arrested.
That's fool.
And we got bank statements that you went in the bank and you put $40,000. You put out $40,000 in cash.
Like it's not Tracy.
Like it's not And then they did it. And then after the $40,000, the other guy they arrested was flossing on the internet.
Oh, he had a show
with cash.
Yeah.
And then he was alluding to the fact that hey, I wipe the nose of my enemies.
Man,
he was a hitman for hire. But people that come up, the higher you inflate yourself, the greater the downfall. And the Most High sets it up that way. But Christ feels the same way about those that feel like, hey, I'm up one, I'm good. Christ said what?
Because thou sayest, I am rich.
Go ahead.
And increase with goods.
I'm increased with what?
Goods.
I'm comfortable. That's what we do. We get comfortable. Read on.
And have need of nothing.
And I don't need what?
I don't need
nothing.
I don't need nothing. I don't need you. I don't need you, and I don't need nobody.
I need your help.
Why would people say that, man?
Doing well.
Who would say that? Who would say, I don't need you and I don't need nobody?
It's crazy.
Who would say that? Who would feel like, I don't need nobody?
You gotta be winning for a while, like.
You got to be inflated for a while.
It's my prerogative.
You got to be inflated in your ego for a long time.
Yeah.
You got to be feeling yourself for a long time.
Yeah, feel yourself.
To be saying, I don't need you and I don't need nobody. Stand by yourself. Get away from me. I'm holier than thou.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yes, sir.
That's that I'm self-made mentality. Right?
Yeah.
It turns into that.
Yeah, but think about this mentality. This mentality, the Most High don't hate. The Most High hates anybody that's holier than thou. Christ says, listen, you think because you up a little bit, your finances are good, your circumstances comfortable, you're plush, you're living a plush lifestyle, that you don't need nobody. Read on.
God, it says, because thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods,
Go ahead.
and have need of nothing,
Go ahead.
and knowest not thou that thou art wretched?
He said, but don't you know the real truth about you? He said, the real truth about you is, you may have these items and these things that make you feel different about the truth of who you are. He said, but internally, spiritually, he says you're wretched. Wretched is like miserable. You're miserable. He says, don't you know the truth about you is that you're really miserable? You're just hiding behind these things that make you feel better.
God.
Read on.
And miserable,
Go ahead.
and poor.
He said, really, you're poor. The truth about you is you're really poor. You're real empty. You're shallow. And you lack a lot of things.
Poor meaning lack.
Yeah. Read.
And blind.
He said, and you really don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you're going. You're really blind.
You know, blind is, people think blind means everything's just black. Blind means things are just very blurry.
Yeah.
You can see things, the shape of things, but you don't get the definition of things.
It's not defined. It's not clear.
You can't see it far off, or you can't see what's right in front of your face.
But you know, pride will do that. Pride will cloud my vision. But the Most High hates that. It burns the Most High up all day long to watch a person this way. And Christ said, you really don't know the truth about yourself. So if we're gonna, the title of the class is called Uncut Gems. If we're really gonna be refined, there's something that we have to seek out, that we have to make priority. Go to Proverbs chapter 27, verse 11. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 11. Another brother giving Psalm 151 and 6.
Proverbs chapter 27, verse 11.
Yes.
My son, be wise.
It said, my son, be what?
Be wise,
Read on.
and make my heart glad.
He said, my son, be wise. Use wisdom. It says, and make my heart glad. Make the Most High happy. We know what makes the Most High angry. We know what burns like smoke in his nose. We know what makes him angry all day. He says, how about we make a change and we convert the Most High's anger to making him happy? How do you make the Most High happy? He said, make my heart glad. Read.
Make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproached me.
It says, how about you convert yourself, and instead of getting the Most High's anger and contempt, how about you get the Most High's pleasure in return? How about you exchange the wrath that the Most High has towards us for his word, his blessing? There's one way to do it. There's something the Most High is looking for. Psalm 51 and 6.
Psalm chapter 51, verse 6. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts.
What makes the Most High happy?
Thou desirest truth.
What makes the Most High happy?
Truth in the inward parts.
So what makes the Most High happy?
Truth in the inward parts.
When you're honest about you. You know what makes the Most High happy? Where he'll start answering your prayers? When you start being honest about your illnesses. And you start being honest about what ails you and your infirmities and your sicknesses and your weaknesses and your diseases. When you start to be honest about what is going on with you as a person, male or female. When you get to the core of you as a person, and you don't lie to yourself, you don't hold hands with people that tell you lies and stroke your ego and tell you what you want to hear about yourself. You don't stand away from people thinking you're holier than thou. You don't accessorize yourself and decorate yourself like a pig, or like a pig with a stone or jewel in the nose. When you don't separate yourself from people saying I'm good, I don't need nobody. When you get down to the core of you, this is what makes the Most High happy. When you get to the bottom of your flaws, and this is what nobody really ever does. We put on finances, we put on accessories, we put on feelings,
Yep.
we put on other people. We mask the real truth about us.
You cover with a cover.
Yeah, we do. Like Isaiah said, right? 30. He said, but not of my spirit, though.
Mhm.
So what makes the Most High happy is when we get to the core and we're honest about what the hell is wrong with me. Can we at least admit that we got some flaws? Can we come clean to the Most High that there's something wrong with us? He said that's what makes the Most High happy. If we can do this. What did David say? Read it again.
Psalms 51:6. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom.
It says in the hidden parts in return, because I can get to the core of me and I can solve my issues and I can bring my issues to the Most High. In exchange, the Most High gives me his wisdom. When I finally start telling the truth about me, the Most High will in turn give me his wisdom in return. When I stop lying to myself and everybody around me. If I can stop doing this, the Most High said, I got wisdom waiting for you in return. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 10. There's something that made Paul stand out in the New Testament. What made Paul stand out in the New Testament? Read this.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 10. But by the grace of the Most High,
Paul is saying, I am nobody without what?
the Most High,
He says without his what?
Grace.
the grace of the Most High.
I am nobody without his grace. Paul can be honest about himself. Paul is quick to say, if it wasn't for the grace of the Most High, I wouldn't be here.
Okay.
I owe everything, all accomplishments, all things that I've done, I owe everything to his grace, and it was nothing done of my own personal merit that I should be rewarded for because of something I was good in. Paul said, listen, when it comes to me, I'm a nobody. He said, if it wasn't for the Most High Christ's grace, I don't do anything good. Paul also said in Romans, he said, I find a law. When I would want to do good, evil's present with me. He said, I've come to know that it wasn't me, but the sin in me that made me do it. He said, in me dwelleth no good thing. Oh, wretched man I am. So Paul is saying, listen, if it wasn't for the Most High's grace, read.
John 15 and 10. But by the grace of the Most High, I am what I am.
He says, I am. When he says, I am what I am, he says, I'm only here because of his grace. That's it. I'm only the man that I am, not because of personal merit,
Yeah.
not because of personal accolades and accomplishments.
Drive, ability.
My drive, my ambition. My ambition got me here.
Yeah. No.
He said, listen, I am what I am only because of his grace. That means it was nothing due or earned on my behalf. I'm not that special. I'm not this inflated guy that's on a level. He said, I am that I am only because of his grace. And that he prioritizes his position as being only valid because of the extension of grace that's being handed to him and given to him. There's no pride involved in Paul. Paul is honest about himself. Without the Most High's grace, what are we? We ain't nobody special. Please. We're just decorated pigs, if anything. Hiding behind the real ugliness about us. The sickness that's in us. Paul said, I'm the man that I am that I am I only exist in the fashion that I exist in because of his grace. Unearned, it's unearned favor that the Most High has given. That's what that grace is. I didn't earn it. It was given for free. So why can't I just be truthful? Why can't I just be honest on the inside? That's what Paul is saying. It wasn't me. Now we was in Psalms 51. Jump down to verse 3.
Psalms 51, verse 3. It says, "For I acknowledge my transgression."
And that's what made David great. What made David great? He could be honest and tell the truth. I got problems. I have issues. I need fixing. I need help. I can't do this by myself. Some men can acknowledge that, and then some men's pride won't let them acknowledge that. Some men's arrogance and women's arrogance won't acknowledge that I need help and I'm really desperate. I'm not as happy or as on top of things as I say I am or I thought I was. Not everybody can admit it. Some people can't admit, I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't really know what I'm doing. The faster you can say I don't know what I'm doing, the faster you can get some help.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And just on that point, it got me thinking. Pride is like your cover up, knowing that you need some damn help.
Yeah.
You're trying to cover it up. You don't want to say that you need help, so you're covering to so-called protect you. That's your pride.
Shit, I'm gonna say it's a disguise.
Yeah.
Yes, this guy.
Because it really is.
Play that makeup.
Yes, it's a false impersonation, hiding what's really true on the inside. It's really a disguise. It's a costume. It's a costume I put on to not show people the real truth about the fact that I really don't know what I'm doing. You know, the faster you can do that, the faster. Most I said I can come and give you wisdom in exchange. If you can get down to the core of you and be honest about yourself, I got wisdom in exchange for you. Yes, sir.
What would you suggest if you were someone that can acknowledge you have that level of pride, right? How would you take it upon yourself to lower it? Before the Most High, but before the Most High makes you humble down, how do you take the steps to humble yourself down so you don't have to hear from the Lord, or get humbled from the Lord?
It's a combination.
Okay.
The first thing is Hebrews 13 and 16, or 13 and 17. That's number one.
Hebrews chapter 13,
Read verse 17.
verse 17.
Read that.
Obey them.
So now, if you say I'm humble, what's the action behind it?
Obey.
What will prove that you're humble like you say you are?
Obey.
What will show that you want help like you say you want help?
Obey.
What will determine that you really did lower yourself down because you feel like you need help?
Obey.
But this is the evidence that you are lowered or you've been reduced, because you will do what?
Obey.
People that don't obey aren't humbled. Because obey means to follow. You know how you know when somebody's humbled or not? It's simple. They follow. They do exactly what they're told to do. This is how you can recognize a humble spirit from the jump. Man, this person can follow everything they're told to do, and there's no contention behind it. There's no argument behind it. There's no debate behind it. There's no question behind it. There's no why this and why that. How come I can't do it this way? Oh, that's your opinion. Well, I got my own way of doing it. And when you hear all that, what are you hearing? Pride. This person is not lowered. So then the Most High got to lower him after that, because obedience is always the determination whether somebody is humble or not. It's always the almost you. It is a determining factor. You can always tell who's humble and who's not based on how they follow, or if they follow, if they choose to follow. People that don't follow instructions are telling you by their actions, I don't believe you and I don't feel like I should follow you. I got my own direction. Obedience is the telltale giveaway if somebody's humble or not. So he says what?
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17. Obey them that have rule over you, and submit yourselves.
And do what?
And submit yourselves.
But people that don't follow, they don't submit. Submit means to yield or give up control. People that don't yield, they don't give up control, they're in their pride. They're not humble. They still think that they're correct. Read.
And submit yourselves, for they watch for your soul.
Because they have a job to do. They're watching out for your soul. But if I don't let them steer my spirit, then I'm telling them I'm the captain of my own ship. I fly my own plane. I dictate the direction. You don't. I go where I want to go. Read on.
For they watch for your souls.
Go ahead.
As they that must give account, that they may do it with joy.
And you're supposed to make it easy on those that steering you. People that don't make it easy for those that are steering them are still inflicted by their pride. They're still diseased by their pride. Now back to Psalm 51, if that answers the question.
Okay.
Psalm 51 and read verse 3 again.
Psalm 51, verse 3. It says, for I acknowledge my transgressions.
So David, what made David strong, we just read what made Paul strong. Paul said, man, I am that I am only by grace. I ain't crap without grace. Unearned favor. That's what grace is. I ain't earned, I undeserving. I didn't deserve this. Christ and the Most High gave me this grace. And it's the only reason I'm able to stand. Read.
For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me.
Go ahead.
Against thee only, have I sinned.
That's what made David great. David could get to the core of the fact that he was riddled with errors. Read on.
And done this evil in thy sight.
Go ahead.
That thou mightest be justified when thou speakest.
And so when the Most High passes judgment, David agrees that the Most High's judgment is just because he brought it on himself. Whatever the Most High determines, he brought it on himself. Read on.
And be clear when thou judgest.
Read on.
Behold, I was shapen in iniquity.
Now, David is explaining something right here. David is saying that he was molded in what?
Iniquity.
So, was he was brought into the world defective, with defects. He was defective when he came in. He said what?
Behold, I was shapen in iniquity,
Go ahead.
and in sin did my mother conceive me.
He said, my mother brought me in a corrupt being. Read on.
Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts.
He said, but the Most High desire what?
Truth in the inward parts.
What does David say? Go to John chapter 9, verse 32. When he says, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. What is he saying? John chapter 9, verse 32.
John chapter 9 and verse 32.
Read that.
It says, since the world began, was it not heard
It says, since the beginning of the world, was it not heard that what?
that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind?
So Christ was doing what? What was Christ doing?
Opening the eyes.
Healing the blind.
He was opening the eyes of them that was what?
Born blind.
Now, what is he saying? He's saying that there are certain things that you possess as far as deformities, things that are not beautiful about you, deficiencies, weaknesses, sicknesses. He says there are certain things that were inherited, that we were born with. There are some things that we are diseased with that we cannot control. You've had issues since you was born. Some issues are more apparent, like the blind. You ever seen a doctor do a newborn baby test?
Yeah. And they shake them up.
They actually drop the baby.
Yeah, cancel.
On a
That's crazy.
Yeah, I do it. I get it.
you almost want to strangle the nurse
I know.
because
Like, what are you doing?
when they take your baby out, they run a series of tests.
Yeah.
Some of these tests are so violent, it looks like they're being abusive to the child.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing is, in order to do a reflex test to make sure the child is not autistic,
Yeah.
they actually have to take the child by the newborn baby is minutes old, minutes,
Yeah.
still got slime on them, and they take their arms and they pull their arms up off the bed and they drop them back down. They lift them up like this off the bed and then let go, and they have to drop them.
Yeah.
And what they're looking for is for the baby to freeze up like this. When they know that the baby freezes up, because the baby can feel falling.
Yeah.
The baby can feel that their body is falling.
So that's where the nightmares come from, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Didn't know that was from a child.
Man, you gave me the
And that's childhood trauma.
Yeah.
At the room.
So, but if the baby don't feel that, then they know that the child is autistic. That's a sign of autism.
Yeah.
The child that has abnormal reflexes, abnormal reactions, and they can see that there's something wrong with the child.
Yeah.
So it looks gruesome. It looks like, man, you're hurting the child, but it's a necessary thing to determine, identify. These are identifiers and indicators that this child was born with deficiencies. This child was born with flaws. Now, everything might not be as obvious as a child that's born blind, but you may not know until months later that the child is blind, because when babies are born, you ain't looking at.
They can't see anyway.
They can see. It's just that their retinas, no, they're fully developed. Babies have.
It's a mucus membrane, right?
The jaundice?
No.
No.
Babies, their lenses, their ability to close and open their lenses
Yeah.
are so elastic that they can see up close like this. You know what's
Wow.
now as an adult, they're stiffening of those eye muscles, and you lose elasticity over time, and you get plaque on your muscles and your iris. So you can't focus in and zoom in like that as you get older. That's why you get older, you got to use your hand to zoom. Your hand becomes your zooming mechanism. But when you're a baby, your eye can do it by itself because there's nothing impeding the dilation of the eyes and the pupils. So babies can see up close, so it looks like they're cockeyed. It looks like they're just looking at anything.
Yeah.
But they actually have great vision up close. But as we get older, we got to do this. We got to put stuff like this and do this and tilt stuff.
Yeah.
That's because those muscles aren't working anymore. There's a deficiency in the ability for the eye muscles to move. That you can't zoom in and out anymore. You got to use your hand. But babies have certain abilities. But there's certain things that they know. Okay, well the baby is blind. The baby's not being able to zoom or look at a certain thing. The baby's eyes can't focus in. After a certain amount of time, the baby should be able to see things in front of them, play with mobiles, and see things and grab things and touch things. And what you do to stimulate babies, you use sensory tools to stimulate children. You use feathers. You use things that they can feel, touch, and they can sense it. Babies are inclined to use their smell. They can't see all that great, but they can smell good. They can smell right away. They have a cute sense of smell. So there's ways of knowing if your baby is missing things or not. But we reading how when David said, I was shapen in iniquity and in sin that my mother conceived me, what he's saying is I came in the world with problems. And there's some problems that we come in the world with that we have no control over. There's issues that we possess that you didn't pick and choose to have these problems.
Like in sin that my mother conceived me.
Exactly.
You didn't choose the sin when you was a baby.
You didn't choose it. You were born into this world already predisposed to flaw.
Like the script, like the baby was born blind. He said, "Who sinned? Him or his parents?"
parents. And Christ said neither.
Yeah.
It said, but that the glory of the Most High may be known. So, in certain cases, it is by sin, and the Most High got to pass judgment. where the baby has to be afflicted. But in certain cases, you come in this world with flaws, and you didn't control that. You didn't have nothing to do with your issues coming into the world. You didn't pick your problems in the world. You were born certain ways. Certain ways you were born with flaws that you didn't ask for. And you had no control over. All of us come in this world with issues, some type, shape, or another, where we didn't ask to be this way. We didn't control this situation where I was brought into this world this way. You can't pick your parents. You can't pick like, no, I want these kind of parents. I want these parents. These parents are good. I'm going to be born to these parents. It don't work like that. You came by way of your parents because that was the Most High's choosing. And whatever defects they possess, whatever defunct housing or residential situation you had to leave the hospital in to go home to, whatever siblings were there, whether sanitary or unsanitary, whether crime-ridden or not crime-ridden, whether smoke-filled or not smoke-filled, you had to go home and be put in that car seat and driven to that address. And you couldn't pick that situation. There are certain things that befall us that we cannot control. That's what David is saying. You don't have control over everything. Some things you do, some things you don't. But there's already prescribed issues that we may have to fight or to uncover at a later date. That's a flaw. Remember, the Most High said he desires truth in the inward parts. What do you have flaws that you were born with? Well, you still got to get to the bottom of it, right? 2 Corinthians 11:3. Keep that in mind.
Second Corinthians 11:3. Right, sir?
Mm-hmm.
But I fear.
He said, I'm afraid. Paul said, I'm afraid. Read.
But I fear, lest by any means.
He said, lest by any means. He said that there be any opportunity or chance. Go ahead.
As a serpent beguiled Eve.
It says, I would hate that the congregation gets beguiled like the devil did what?
Beguiled Eve.
Go ahead.
Through his subtlety.
Through his what?
Subtlety.
Through his subtlety. Go ahead.
So your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ.
Now, some things you were born with. Some issues that you have, you had no control over. Some things you fell by way of deception. Somebody lied to you. And somebody corrupted you by, like Satan corrupted Eve, they enticed you to some things. Some things we fell because we were enticed by these things. It wasn't because I was born this way. If you were a crack baby, that 9 times out of 10, your mother or was smoking, and that residue of that drug was in your system, and you were already born predisposed to being addicted to a substance. You had substance abuse issues as a child, but that ain't always the case. Sometimes your parents were not dealing with any substances, and you chose the substances.
No, man.
You chose the
That's true.
situation because you were deceived by Satan. You let Satan deceive you. Some issues were born with. Some were brought on by being enticed. And what Paul is saying is, man, I would hate that the members of Christ and the body of Christ get deceived and get lied to participate in something forbidden, just like Eve got deceived by Satan. We understand that?
God.
So, some things you have no control over. Some things, your lust got the best of you. Your curiosity got the best of you. You wanted to try it. It looked good. You could have told whoever had whatever in their hand to offer you, you could have told them no like 1,000 million other people told them no. Because those same impulses pass by each and every one of our faces. Some people say, yeah, why not? Based on where they are mentally, where they are discipline-wise, where they are faithfully. Some people slap the shit out their head and say, man, hell no, get that out of my face. Don't you ever bring that in my house. Don't you ever bring that in my house. Don't you ever bring that around me. I want no part of that. You by yourself. Or some people say, hey, you only live once. Hey, why not? Hey, you said it's fun. I believe you. You my homie, right? You my friend, right? You ain't gonna steer me the wrong way, right? And then peer pressure kick in, and now you zooted out of your mind, looped out of your head, and they're laughing at you because you're having a bad reaction. You tripping out bad, and they laugh. Now you're the laughing stock.
You're the entertainment.
Yep.
Your collapse or your fall,
And your demise.
your demise is other people's
Comedy.
comedy.
Your tragedy is their comedy. Comedies are often called tragedies.
Yeah. The tragic comedy.
Yeah.
But there's certain situations where you fail because you gave in and you shouldn't have given in. We already got problems that we're born with that we can't control. Why add to that? Why make life even more difficult? By being impulsive and giving in to lust. That's what Paul said, but I pray that this don't happen to y'all. Paul is praying for the church.
Yeah.
Read it again.
Con, 2 Corinthians 11:3. But I fear, lest by any means, as a serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ.
All you got to do is be obedient. Keep following. That's all you got to do. Don't trust your own thoughts. Just keep following. That's how simple Christ is. Just do what you're told. Do what you're told and you'll be okay. But what do? We let Satan in. We let the devil in by offering something that we didn't need in our life.
Right.
Life is already hard enough. Go to Galatians chapter 4, verse 9.
I got it. Galatians chapter 4, verse 9.
Read that.
Galatians 4:9.
Go ahead.
But now, after that ye have known the Most High, or rather are known of the Most High.
Now jump to read verse 8. Give me Galatians chapter 4, verse 8 and 9.
Galatians 4:8. Howbeit then,
I said, how be it there? How did it get to this point? He said, how did it get to this point? First of all, some of us are born into this world with problems already, with deficiencies already and defects already. Some, we entertain the wrong things, and we fall by way of subtlety and deception and corruption. He says, and how be it then? How did it get to this point? Read.
howbeit then, when ye knew not the Most High, ye did service unto them which by nature are no gods.
He says, how is it then that you were faithful to the flesh? How much more should you be faithful to the spirit?
Wow. That's true.
We were faithful to the flesh, consistent to the flesh. When it came to feeding the flesh, there's a little YouTube video, a little short, of these two white boys, and I don't know if they're in Minnesota or I don't know where they at, Connecticut or something, but Habib at the corner store, he says every day they buy $100 liquor and tobacco. He said every day $100 each. There's only like two white boys in the whole town. He said they buy $100 each, liquor and tobacco every day. He
That's
says,
crazy.
and I love them.
That's amazing. Wow.
He says, and I love them.
He loves them.
I love them. And he was sincere as hell. Like he was like straight face. He said, I love
He
them.
made him famous, huh?
And he's telling the truth. Does he really love them, or does he love the fact that they spend $100 every day?
It's a guaranteed 100.
It's a guaranteed 100 every day. So he says, howbeit, read it one more time.
Galatians 4:8. Howbeit then, when ye knew not the Most High, ye did service unto them which by nature are no gods.
Yeah, you was loyal to the flesh. Read.
Verse 9. But now, after that ye have known the Most High,
Now the Most High brings the truth in your life. There's no reason to be loyal to the flesh anymore. There's no reason to be loyal to vices. Read.
after that ye have known the Most High, or rather are known of the Most
And
High.
the Most High recognize you. Read on.
How turn ye again to the weak and beggarly element?
He says, how do you go back to the flesh? How do you go back to the things that was corrupting you when now you know the Most High now? Read.
Come. Says, whereunto ye desire again to be in bondage?
He says, damn, do you want to be in bondage? So what is he saying? When it comes to issues, he's saying there's some that we're born with that we cannot control. There are some issues that we brought on ourselves by reason of our lust. He says, and then when there's opportunity for salvation and change and repentance, he says we want to go back to those issues. So some things we have no control over. Some we got deceived and was corrupted by Satan. And some we choose. Is what he's saying. Some sins we choose. Some faults we choose. It's our choice. So we do have control over some. But you got to be honest about your issues. Do you possess issues that you was born with and you got to fight that? Or you got issues that was brought on by lust and that you introduced in your life and you got to fight that? Or are you choosing your issues to be sick? You got to be honest.
So you're saying there are diseases that are selected.
Yes.
There's selected sickness.
Yes.
There's inborn, birth, day one, as soon as you saw the light. And since you bring
You ain't no control or power over.
that was there. You was born with that.
You got to identify your level of sickness. Because we all cannot break down. I know for a fact I chose a lot of my issues. I know some things I was born with. For example, I was born with 2 crooked feet. My left foot and my right foot was like this. They weren't just regular feet. They were like this. So by 2 years old, they had to go and break my feet as a kid. They had to break my feet and straighten my feet up. And I wore those leg irons that you see on Forrest Gump.
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
You know them damn leg irons he had on?
God.
I had those on as a child. Because I was bow-legged, I'm still bow-legged. I was bow-legged and my feet went the other way. I used to have to wear my left foot shoe on my right foot and my right foot shoe on the left foot. I had to swap my shoes because that's the only way they fit. So at 2 years old, they went and they broke my feet. They broke my bones and they straightened my legs. And I had a cast up to my waist because they broke all my bones from my waist down. And then after 2 years old, with cast all the way up to my waist, then I had to wear those leg harnesses. Now I don't remember all of this. But all of my family said, yeah, bro, your feet was bad. Now I know why I'm bow-legged. I know why. I was born crooked. I was born jacked up. But I had to be broken to be straightened. And once I got out of those casts, I just started running. I was running fast after that. I could run real. I don't know I could run fast.
Bow-legged.
I was running fast. I became very fast on the feet. Probably had to make it up for lost time. But I was quick on the feet, bro. Quick. But I was broken first. I was born that way. I was born with my feet that had to be snapped and broken from my feet to my legs. I couldn't control that. I didn't ask for that. But what did I indulge? cigarettes and alcohol, experimentation. I wasn't born with that. I gave into that through deception. I listened to people around me that was already weak to that. And I invited that in my life. I wasn't born with that. I invited that thing in my life. Then there's some vices that you choose even after you get the truth.
Yeah.
That's what Paul is saying. How is it possible that you got a chance to get out of this situation? You were offered an escape and you want to go back to it? You want to go back to this weakness? You want to go back to this sickness or this way of thinking? You're not being honest with yourself. People lie all the time. So, some things you control, some things you invite in your life, and some things you choose. But you'll find all these different things as far as a sickness that people got to battle. So you got to identify your particular battle. Are you choosing your sickness? Are you inviting a demon in your life? An addiction or a vice in your life? Are you introducing that by way of Satan in your life? Or are you dealing with something that you was born with? It would help you to identify your issues. So you at least you know what to fight.
Yeah.
Or you might be fighting all three of them.
Yep.
You might be born with some issues, inviting problems in your life, and still choosing the wrong damn way. Now you got a triple whammy.
Yeah, it's tough.
So let's go back now to understand what David was saying. Let's go back to no, give me one more at this point, man. Give me one more at this point. Mark chapter 14, verse 38.
Mark chapter 14, verse 38.
Read that.
Mark chapter 14, verse 38. Watch ye and pray.
That's why it says you gotta watch and do what?
Pray.
You better pay attention. He said you better pay attention and you gotta be on guard. You gotta be circumspect. You gotta walk circumspectly. You gotta walk aware and vigilant on all sides. You gotta know what you're weak at and what you're weak to, what you're vulnerable to. You gotta know your problems. You gotta know what makes you weak. There's something wrong with each and every one of us. You better be praying and paying attention. Read.
Lest ye enter into temptation.
Or less what's going to happen if you're not aware.
Lest ye enter into temptation.
Yes, if you're not careful, you can introduce some new vices or sustain some old ones. Or not change the ones you was born with. If you're not paying attention. Read on.
The spirit truly is ready.
It said, yeah, the spirit is always ready for change. The spirit will always be ready for change. Read on.
But the flesh is weak.
Well, what will keep you from not changing?
The flesh.
The flesh is always going to be an enemy. You gotta know yourself. You gotta know what you're weak at and what you're battling and what you're dealing with. You gotta really understand what your problems are.
Yeah.
There's things that we couldn't control. There's things that we invited and we brought upon ourselves. And there's things that we're just choosing just because we're weak to the flesh. We're operating in the flesh. But if you're not sure about what it is that ails you, you're going to be fighting, swinging at the air.
Groping at noonday.
Groping at noonday. You'll be blind. You're not going to know your issues. So you got to be around people that help you identify these issues. That's what makes these people important. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. We'll use an example. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. We're going to use this for example.
2 Timothy 2 and 15. Never read.
2 Timothy 2:15. Read that.
Yes, sir. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High.
It said the Bible says we got to study to show ourselves approved unto the Most High. It's a requirement that we study, and we give our minds to study. That's a requirement to be approved by the Most High. Right? What? Read that. Not that, but read on.
A workman that needeth not to be ashamed.
It says a workman that needed not be ashamed, afraid, embarrassed, Read on.
Rightly dividing the word of truth.
Now, say for example, that is a requirement. That is a law. You got to study so that you don't be afraid. But what happens if you were born with paprophobia? What is that?
Paprophobia is an uncommon phobia characterized by an intense and irrational fear of paper.
What happens if you scared of paper?
Oh, that's a problem.
How you gonna study?
Nothing.
Damn.
How you gonna study? Oh man,
Yeah.
I can't touch that.
Get the audio Bible going.
You get the
It's probably 700 classes on the internet.
yeah.
Audio Bible.
You learn something.
So what happens is the Bible says a requirement to study. What happens if you're born with this phobia? You better ask.
Yeah.
Read on.
Individuals with paprophobia may experience anxiety, panic attacks,
So I open the Bible and I get what?
anxiety, or
I get
panic
anxiety.
attacks.
How you gonna study when you get anxiety and panic attacks when you open the Bible? You scared of paper. You scared of writing things down. Yeah, give me the definition of graphophobia, and somebody give me the definition of scriptophobia. Scriptophobia and graphophobia. Give me them definitions too.
Cryptophobia.
Scriptophobia and graphophobia.
It's phobia. It's phobia for everything.
Yeah.
Which one you want first?
Get a graphophobia.
I got scripture.
Graphophobia.
Graphophobia.
Go ahead.
It says graphophobia is a phobia where people avoid writing.
He said they do what?
Avoid writing.
What happened when the Bible say study to show thyself approved, and you got this thing that you was born with, where you don't want to do what? You don't want to take. You don't want to take notes.
Yes.
You don't want to write nothing down. You don't turn in homework. You don't put pen to paper. Are these issues?
Causes of graphophobia. The fear of writing usually originates from a negative experience in one's past, apart from technicalities. Many scriptophobes are also afraid of the fear of rejection.
Yeah. So now I don't want to. I don't let people read my journals.
Yeah.
I don't want to write nothing down because I'm afraid of how people look at me. How they might judge me. They might analyze me. How you gonna turn in your homework?
What's the scriptophobia?
We'll get to that.
Oh.
How you gonna turn in your homework? You scared to put? You won't touch paper. You won't write. You won't take notes in class. You won't write anything down. You may be born with a problem. But you wonder why. Let me stop. We're identifying problems that people are born with that will not allow them to be good students and disciples in Christ. So you have to identify, was this something I was born with? Is this something that was brought on from a negative experience? I know men that do not like math because every time they got a math problem wrong, they got slapped in the back of the head at the kitchen table. Boy, what's your problem?
Yeah.
Now from getting popped in the back of the head over and over, they don't even like equations.
Yeah.
They don't even like math. Because the damn trauma that was associated with it. Now I don't even like writing down anything. I don't want people to read what I write. I don't even like my writing. I don't like my handwriting. If I'm going to be a student of Christ, I have to overcome these things. I got to identify and overcome. Yes, sir.
You can't even be a scribe.
How you going to be a scribe? You can't write nothing down. How you going to be an armor bearer? Well, now we had one brother. I remember one brother that we had in the camp. He was from Omaha, Nebraska. He was 18 years old. He came to San Antonio. And he was working the malls, and we was training him at the mall selling oil. And this brother was sharp off the top. He knew scripts off the top of his head. Every time you're at the mall, something's going to turn biblical. It's going to be Bible verses given to people sometime or another in the mall. And when it was time to deliver scriptures, this brother could recite scriptures off the top of his mind. Oh, he was sharp. He was quick. And we came to class. He knew breakdowns off the top of his head. But when we came to class, he got to class, he couldn't read. He couldn't read. Brother asked him to read. Hey, read this verse. He sounded like a 2-year-old. So what did he do?
Memorize.
He used memory. He used memory. That's how he was able to recite these scriptures. That's why he always had scriptures off the top of his head, but you would never know the brother couldn't read. Just how quick he was off the dome with scriptures. He'd beat you to any verse with no concordance. But he had to memorize it because he couldn't read it. That's St. John. That's St. John chapter 4, 12. That's 1 John chapter 3. He just go off the top of the note. That's Hebrews 5:17. That's this and this. Like, damn, brother, how you brother got these scriptures like this? 18 years old. But in class, hey brother, stand up and read. The little, like, oh man. Now we understand your battle, brother. But you know what? You can hide behind the fact that you can't read, but eventually that's gonna catch up with you. You can hide behind it for so long, but it's gonna come a time where you're gonna get caught, and somebody's gonna find out that you can't read.
Yeah.
You know, when it sucks when it's found out you can't read. I had a family member, an aunt. My uncle died in an oil explosion, oil well explosion down in South Texas in the 80s. You drilling for oil, you're supposed to put what's called a BOP valve, and Amiyati knows, what those are. Amiyati did that too. It's the blowout preventer, right? It's the blowout preventer, and you're supposed to put the blowout preventer on the pipe so that if the gas comes up, it doesn't blow you and everybody up. Well, he was working with a company. My uncle was working with a company that wanted to be cheap, and they didn't want to use the BOP valve because I think it cost some money. I think you can correct me.
Yeah, they cost about like $10,000, $10,000
A day, right? To run that machine?
Yeah, because they gotta bring it, they gotta
Prime it.
out.
Yeah, so it costs like $10,000 a day to run that blowout preventer valve. So a lot of oil companies try to cheapen their way out of drilling oil, and they won't put the blowout preventer on the oil well, so that they ain't got to spend the extra money. Well, my uncle and 2 other guys were drilling oil, and they hit some gas, and it blew all of them to pieces. And it was a closed casket for all 3 of them. And I went to the funeral. I remember going to the funeral in the 80s. It was closed casket. Wasn't no body parts. Body parts just thrown all over the field. But my aunt became an instant millionaire from the lawsuit of them not using the proper equipment in drilling. But because my aunt never learned how to read or write, all the lawyers in the small towns took all her millions. So although she was a millionaire, multi-millionaire, she died broke because she couldn't read or write. She couldn't read the paperwork, and she enriched all the lawyers. All the car lots was stinging her for money because she couldn't read the contract. She couldn't read. Everybody was beating her. TV guys, everything that sold her anything, she couldn't read. She couldn't read or write. So you can only go so long where it don't affect you, where you can hide behind your defects and your deficiencies, but sometime or another it will catch you. If you don't deal with your defects, if you don't deal with some things that you're born with, some things that were brought on because of trauma, some things that you invited in your life, or some things that you choose to do wrong, it's going to catch up with you sometime or another. And it's going to affect your life one way or another if you don't find out what your problems are and work on them. Scriptophobia.
Scriptophobia is the profound fear of writing in public.
It says it's the profound fear of what?
Writing in public.
We turn in homework in this camp. How you gonna turn in homework and be a disciple and a student of Christ when you're afraid to take notes? Because you're afraid of what people are going to say about you. Because a phobia is just a fear. Read on.
It may stem from past negative experiences.
Same thing now I just read. It may stem from what?
From past negative experiences.
Because somebody bullied you about your writing. Somebody made fun of you as a kid. And you never got over it. You still suffer from things that happened to you as a kid. Trauma related. And it destroys your opportunity to be the best student you could be in Christ. You got to find out what's in you. You got to find out what's wrong with you. It's going to catch up one way or another. And it'll be a disservice to you. Or it'll be a major hindrance in your life. Read on.
Such as from past negative experiences, such as harsh criticism or embarrassment in a classroom setting.
So it started from where? It could possibly start from where? How you was dealt with in school. Yeah, go ahead.
Leading to the heightened sensitivity.
It says leading to the what?
Heightened sensitivity to judgment from others.
It says I have heightened sensitivity because the way I was treated as a child, I have a heightened level of sensitivity of what?
Judgment from others.
I'm sensitive. I'm super sensitive on how people look at me because I never got over the fears that was incurred to me because there was some trauma related to my upbringing. Either I was bullied, I was made fun of, I was ridiculed, I was mocked, I was separated, I was ostracized, I was felt less than, I had low self-esteem. What did it do to me? So now because something that happened to me as a child that I may have not even been able to control, but happened to me, now I am not a good student in Christ because I can't recognize these things and neither do I want to fight these things or be honest that I have these issues. See, we all have these deformities. That's why we started off the class where Christ said he healed all manner of sickness. All types, all forms. Devils, demons, diseases, infirmities, everything. But you got to be honest with yours. What's your problem? What's your deficiency? Where are you defective at? Are you honest with your deficiency? I know everybody got to think about that. But there's some things that may have happened when you was a child. Some things you may have control, some things you don't. Now, let that go. Another issue, there's a variety, but we'll talk about things that could possibly be hindering us now. There's deficiencies. There's one called Asperger's. You ever heard of it? Asperger's, right?
I heard it on TV. I heard they have TV shows about people that have it.
Okay. Can anybody explain what it is? Yeah, ASPERGERS. Asperger's. Yes. Yes. Can you read it? Does anybody know what it is? First of all, foremost.
Like social awkwardness, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've read. I know the person with it, but I don't know the technical medical.
Psychological term for it.
Right.
Read.
Oh.
You got it, y'all?
Yes. Asperger's syndrome. It says a developmental disorder affecting ability to effectively socialize.
It says it's a developmental disorder that will hinder me from being able to what?
Effectively socialize and communicate.
It says so it hinders me from communicating and socializing. It manifests itself in these two ways that deter me from being able to communicate and socialize. Those are the two major impacts of this particular issue. Now, we just read about paprophobia, graphophobia, scriptophobia. These are all fears that can have a negative effect later. So, read on.
It says people with this condition may be socially awkward.
People with this condition could be what?
Socially awkward.
I have trouble getting along, creating relationships. What else?
It says, and have an all-absorbing interest in specific topics.
It says what?
It says people with this condition may be socially awkward and have an all-absorbing interest in specific topics.
Yes, they may have an all-absorbing interest in specific topics, meaning that it's not that they're not smart or intelligent. They are. They could be a savant in certain things, in mathematics. They could be a savant in drawing. You know, it's the one Judite kid comes to mind that they put him in a helicopter and they fly him over New York, and he's able to, off memory. He has a damn. I don't even know if it's photographic. It's beyond photographic. It's like they fly him in a helicopter over the New York skyline. Then he comes back and straight off memory, he draws every single building from the skyline with precision and accuracy, and he doesn't miss the windows either.
What?
Yeah.
Every
window is detailed.
What?
But when you talk to him, he's not really social, but he's gifted. We can't even find out what the hell we did with our last check. Man, that money went fast, man. And all I did was I went to Chick-fil-A once, and I don't even know what I did. I paid the bills, and now I'm negative in my account. I don't even know what I did with my money. I can't even recall what I did with it. But it doesn't mean that this person is not intelligent. They have intelligence in different ways. But socially, it may play a hindrance in his ability to create friendships and bonds. What you got?
It also says they may have trouble understanding social situations and subtle forms of communication.
All right, I got that too.
Oh, you got? Okay.
Yeah, I got that. So, it is no way to. This Asperger's is like it doesn't reveal itself in elementary school so easily. Like, because naturally they could read, they could write, they could talk, they could speak. It doesn't really manifest itself as this kid having any issues, female or male. But it isn't until they start to get older where relationships and bonds are required, where they have to create friendships and function in a group setting. Then that's when the awkwardness starts to appear. But initially, a parent may not even know that my child has these issues or was born with these issues. A child may not even know that I have a specialized child.
Yeah.
A parent may not know that because they read, they could use words, they could speak in sentences. Also, when it comes to being in a socialized setting, so it's not a real big indicator that there's a problem at first, but it starts to appear later. There's some issues that we have that don't even manifest off the jump.
Yeah.
We can have these issues that takes years to start to be able to see and identify, hey man, this brother got these issues. Hey, this sister got these issues.
Yeah.
But you don't know it from the initial because the person has regular, it's not like an autism to where they haven't learned letters, speech, writing, comprehension. They can comprehend, they can read, they can write, they can talk, they can use big words, big formats. They have understanding. And matter of fact, they have intense knowledge in certain specific topics. They're more elevated in knowledge than other people on certain topics.
Yeah.
They're drawn to particular topics. So we might not say, okay, that brother has a problem, or that sister got a problem. A lot of people gifted in different ways, drawing, music.
They used to be in the gifted and talented program.
Yeah, math formulas, equations, quick-witted thinking.
Yeah.
They know all the stars in the sky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I knew a guy named they used to
He
be
was
a customer of ours.
Not Kurt.
No, his name was Bruce.
Bruce was a man.
His brother named Bruce. He was a very awkward brother, Judite brother.
Super bright.
Really, he didn't He didn't talk to a lot of people. It took a lot to gain his trust before he talked to you. But one day we sat down, and I was like, man, this guy is he's not slow. He just doesn't communicate well with people. And I said, bro, Bruce, what are you into? He said, I'm into WWE wrestling. He said, I'm a big wrestling fan. I said, oh, yeah? I said, man, who's your favorite wrestlers? He said, all of them.
He wasn't joking though.
And I said, are you sure about that? He said, yeah. I said, man, here, write down your favorite wrestlers. No lie. Bruce wrote down every wrestler from 1970 to now.
And was down for writing it.
Bro.
And he gave me a list of every single wrestler that ever wrestled from 1970 on up. Without missing one wrestler. But Bruce couldn't really hold a conversation with people. He just didn't feel comfortable talking to people. But if you tapped into what he was interested in,
His world?
oh man, you go into his wrestling world,
It's over.
oh, there's nothing that you wouldn't know. It's a brother now that used to be a customer of mine, that used to come through the cart. He's homeless now, walking. I see him on the street sometimes.
Do that cat, right?
Yeah, kind of bald. He has a bald spot up top.
No.
Kind of heavy set.
No.
He's from East Texas.
Oh yeah. He's a football boy.
Yes.
Ask him all the time.
See him all the time, right? This brother he can name every football game, the score,
What?
halftime, how many points, field goals, touchdowns, first downs. He can name every high school team and their points, who they played, what games they played. All their stats are calculated in his mind.
I see with him all the time. I never knew that.
Oh, brother, you talk to him, you find out, man, when it comes to what people are interested in, they're very gifted. But socially, they're awkward. And this may play a role when it comes to being in a church community. Now, imagine having these issues when you're in a church environment. And it requires you to be social, and you can't be awkward when there's people expecting you to interact with them.
God.
Read that, y'all out? What you got?
Internet.
Yeah. It says,
I got you. It says Asperger's syndrome. It says a developmental disorder affecting ability to effectively socialize and communicate.
so they may have trouble making eye-to-eye contact with people. They might have trouble looking at people, giving people their attention. So if they're in class, they may not look like they're paying attention because they have trouble with eye-to-eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
Or their facial expressions aren't really necessary for the situation.
Yeah.
They may make awkward facial expressions that don't seem like they're there.
Yeah.
Or they may gaze off in the distance. They may be gazing. It's not that they're not listening. It's just that their brain works in a different fashion where they're just gazing. And so the teacher may feel like, hey, you're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're not focused. You're not here mentally. But they don't make good eye contact sometimes. They may gaze. So their facial expressions may not fit the situation. What else?
It says people with this condition may be socially awkward and have an all-absorbing interest in specific topics.
Right. Or you'll notice differences in their posture and their body movements, their body mechanics.
I was going to say that because I remember when I was in, we do it now when we do an inspection, but I remember when I was in high school, we used to have to all the football players had to line up in rows and be in a margin pretty much.
In ranks.
And be in ranks and be in a standstill position and hold that position. Anybody that cracked or moved, you was dropped for push-ups. And I remember there was always certain people that just couldn't stop fidgeting. Now I know it's stimming. They were stimming because they can't stay still past a certain period of time. After a while, they got to do some type of movement or some type of physical reaction because their brain can't stop working in that arena. But the coach looked at that like, oh, you're just disobedient. You don't know what you're doing, or you don't care that everyone's doing push-ups. So now we're gonna do push-ups while you have to watch everyone suffer. When he physically couldn't stop stammer or stimming.
And that leads us to another disorder that we may have inherited or have had since birth that may not be evaluated, which is ADHD.
Yeah.
That's another one.
That's a real one.
That's a real one.
That's a real hindrance.
Now, I want you to read this for me right here. There's three categories or classes of ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
It's the predominantly inattentive ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
There's the predominantly hyperactive impulsivity ADHD.
Yep.
Then there's a combined of those two. Now, based on what you just said, read this for me right here.
Okay.
Predominantly hyperactive impulsivity ADHD.
And also, I don't know if you have it in here, but ADHD specifically was measured in boys, not in girls.
It shows more prominently in boys.
Yeah.
Girls can possess it.
They have it. The symptoms which is described aren't the same.
But it's predominantly diagnosed in boys more than girls.
But they say women happen to have the tendency of the other type. Inattentive
Yeah.
ADHD is more towards women.
And the women, they say when they do possess ADHD, do more of a daydreaming.
Yes.
More so.
Doodling. They're very neat. They have a lot of drawings on the paperwork. Yeah.
But they do a lot of daydreaming.
Yeah.
And the daydreaming is also a sign of a young girl's ADHD.
Yep.
But based on what you said about the football team, this one right here.
Predominantly hyperactivity, impulsivity, ADHD. Often fidgets and squirms. Often
what?
Often fidgets and squirms.
It said they can't sit still. It said that so psychologically their mind won't let their body just rest. They gotta move, they gotta squirm, they can't sit still.
Yeah.
It says they often fidget and what?
And squirms.
Go ahead.
Often gets up from their seat in school or during work meetings.
And they can't stay in the seat. They can't stay in the chair. So they dealing with something.
It's true.
What are they dealing with? They can't sit still. They fidgeting. They squirming. How are you going to be a student and you have these inherited issues that you were born with that you may not have control over?
You know, the worst is during STAR tests. And I'll say this for me, especially. The STAR test, you got to sit down. In Texas, you have a state test for high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to sit down for 3 hours straight, roughly, and get as many questions possible done.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if you're like this, which I was like this, and you have to get up and go to the bathroom because you can't sit still for 3 hours straight, you're not getting certain questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're not going to be the one getting to Harvard because you missed. You might have knew the answer, but you were gone too many times. You got up too many times, so you didn't have time to fill the question out. So now you're a couple points short from getting to Harvard or the higher level schools. Not because you're not intelligent. You just couldn't sit still long enough to take the test.
You couldn't sit still long enough to finish the test at an adequate time frame. So they had to put you in specialized classes so that you could take the test without distraction. Hopefully, you can do that. If they're able to diagnose and find out what the issues are sooner. Yes, sir.
No, I was just going to say, before that, they would have, for my generation, it was the tax test.
Yeah.
But before the tax test, it was the benchmark.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. That's what you know.
The benchmark was longer than the tax test.
It was.
I remember I took the benchmark test, and I somehow finished. One time I finished it, and then my teacher was like upset. I was like, "What are you talking about?" I know it. She's like, "No, this is impossible." So then I came back the next day and took a more advanced benchmark. And I realized they just gave me the damn tax test. Excuse my French. The tax test just elongated. It had some like green letters on it. It was the worst thing in the world, bro.
Well, but people that failed as students are showing that they have defects.
Yeah.
But read on.
It says they often gets up from their seat in school during work meetings, often runs or climbs when inappropriate.
It said they run or climb when what? They're always climbing on something. They climb, they jumping on something, they climbing on something, they gotta do something.
That's funny.
They just gotta get on something. Yeah, like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing up there, man? Why are you on the, you know what I'm saying, on top of the mailbox? What are you doing?
But they had this tree out at the school. It was like a lot of us too. A lot of us wanted to climb this tree at recess. Like, we was going crazy, bro.
You know why? A lot of people had symptoms, huh? Read on.
It says, adults may be restless. Often looks as if they're driven by a motor.
It says often looks like they got a crank in their back. Read on.
Often talks excessively.
Excessive talking. What else?
Often blurts out an answer before a question is finished.
Go ahead.
Often has trouble waiting their turn. Interrupts or intrudes.
So you may have these issues. You may see. It helps to identify, the sooner we can come down to the truth about us, the faster we can start getting help and assessing the problem. The faster I can say, man, I fit the category of a person that has these issues or dysfunctions, I need help. The faster we can say, hey, I need assistance. But sometimes our pride won't let us identify what the hell is wrong with us.
People with ADHD, they be losing everything important.
Oh, all the
I
time.
don't care what it is.
You got bruises on your body. You always hitting yourself. You don't know where you got this bruise from. Oh, this.
Keys, wallets.
Yeah.
I put this over here, and I knew I put it there.
Yeah.
Paperwork is always. But read the other one. The predominantly inattentive ADHD.
It says predominantly inattentive ADHD. Often makes careless mistakes in schoolwork.
It says they make what?
Often makes careless mistakes in schoolwork or at work.
What else?
Often has difficulty maintaining attention in tasks.
Why is that? Read this right here. What is that difficulty at school? Read this right here, Dawiyat.
That's fun.
Difficulty at school.
Remember, we're students, bro. We're supposed to be the students of Christ. But the same issues you had in school, you'll have here.
Yeah,
if you don't identify them. If you daydream in school, you'll daydream here.
Yeah.
If you can't stay on task in school, you can't stay on task here.
He's a doodler in school.
Yeah, if you drawing and your mind is somewhere else in school, your mind is gonna be somewhere else in class.
God.
If you was a poor student then, you'll be a poor student now.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to be disciples of Christ. We're scared to write, we're scared to read, we're scared to be embarrassed. We don't want to be embarrassed. We're coming with all these fears. But we got to be honest with these fears. Read that.
Yeah. Teachers may express frustration with your child's distractibility.
It says what?
Teachers may express frustration with your child's distractibility.
Right? And that teachers may misdiagnose or misidentify what they're looking at. They're just saying this kid is a bad kid. You just get labeled with a blanket statement, you're just a bad kid. It's not that we're a bad kid, we're flawed kids.
Yeah.
We come with imperfections. That's why the class is called Uncut Gems. You haven't been refined yet. We haven't been refined yet. A lot of times it's because we're not honest about what needs to be refined. About what our deficiencies are. We let pride get in the way of the fact that we need help. But we fit in all these different categories. And we're not, and sis, we will answer that question on how do we fix that on yourself. We're gonna get to that question. We're not gonna ignore it. Read on, Dawiyat.
There's an inability to stay on one thought because
you know why they get in trouble at school? Because there's an inability to stay where?
On one thought.
They can't keep their mind on one thought. They can't focus and concentrate long enough to meditate and get answers on one thought. Their mind jumps to another thought and another thought. When you look at the definition of schizophrenia is just a mind that can't stay on task. So to me, it's just, by definition, it's damn near like a mild version of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Because a person with schizophrenia, their mind just jumps from one topic to another. And they can't isolate and control their thoughts. Their mind just jumps out of control. They have no control over their mind and its ability to stay in one place. I can't put my mind in one place. Read?
Because there are thoughts constantly bombarding their mind.
And when you look at spirits are thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to 2 Corinthians 3, it tells you that you bring every thought into the captivity of who? Christ. Yahushua. So when you're a student of Christ, you have to take every thought and learn how to control every thought. That's part of being a student in Christ, is controlling your thoughts, which means that you're going to have to control what you may have been born with as a deficiency, and remove all other distractions and force your mind and calibrate your mind to hone in on one thought. That's what's required, because these are spirits. Spirits are somebody that can't control their thoughts, or they allow thoughts to come into their mind and they don't repel those thoughts. There's no fence and no border. They're impulsive. That's what the second definition is, which is that hyperactivity, impulsivity. I'm impulsive because I can't stop the thought of me telling myself no.
Yep.
I want something so bad, I gotta go get it. So I just keep thinking about it and thinking about it. I want this. I want this. I want this. You keep putting your mind there because you keep telling yourself that's what you want. So you feed yourself with this impulsivity. Now read this for me, Dariad. Several studies
have shown that people with ADHD are about 3 times more likely to be nicotine dependent.
It says if you already have been born with ADHD, it says you already have a 3 times more likely chance of being addicted to a substance. Nicotine, cigarettes, what else?
Those with ADHD are also 50%.
So 3 times more, you're already inclined to want to smoke something.
Yeah.
You're already inclined to want to put a cigarette in your mouth. Or you want to vape, or you want to put something in your face. What else?
Those with ADHD are also 50% more likely to develop a drug or alcohol use disorder.
So also, those that have ADHD are more prone to be good customers to Habib.
Oh yeah.
I loved him. I loved him. You'll be a good customer. But you didn't know that I became a good customer because I never fixed what was in me. I never controlled what was in me. So I'm prone to my vices because I never actually controlled the source of my issue, which was my inability to control my mind and my impulses. Finish that?
It says more likely to have a drug or alcohol disorder than those without ADHD. Research shows that treatment with ADHD medications can reduce such substance misuses.
Yeah, because I'm already impulsive. I can't stop thinking about a thought. If I'm repetitive in my thought and I keep telling myself I need that alcohol, I need a drink. I keep telling myself. You program yourself to tell yourself I need a drink. I need a drink. As soon as you get opportunity, what you gonna go get? A drink, because that's what you have, this issue. But you were never honest with the issue. The outcome of the fact that you're an alcoholic or drug addict was never really remedied from the start, from the childhood. You had possessed these issues from youth. Anybody that has ADHD tendencies, diagnosis, as an adult, has always had it as a child. You don't get ADHD as an adult.
Can't catch.
You've always had ADHD. It's just manifested itself later in life. It just took a long time to see it. If you have these characteristics. Now, if we're honest about ourselves, this may not fit everybody. But if we're honest about ourselves, this may fit some of us. And we may possess some of these tendencies. And these tendencies, read this for me. Finish this part 2.
Part 2. Chattering too much and interrupting in school may get children in trouble with teachers.
Talking too much? What else?
But ADHD can also make it difficult to read social cues.
I can't because I can't slow my mind down. I don't understand how other people feel. I always push my way and what I want because I don't have the capacity to be able to look at another person and think about what they're thinking about. All I am is consumed about what I'm thinking about. I'm consumed only with my thoughts. My thoughts only matter.
It kills conversations.
It's a conversation killer because a conversation requires dialogue between two parties.
Yeah.
But what happens if I can talk but I can't listen?
Mm-hmm.
Not cool to be around. So
You'll have a one-sided conversation. I can talk but I can't listen.
Yep.
That's a bad sign.
It is. It's really bad.
These are all signs that you can't pick up on social cues. Meaning you could deliver what you want to say because that's what's in your mind.
Yeah.
And that's what's predominantly running in your thoughts. But when it's time to look at the other person and say, what is it that you're trying to tell me? I shut that down because I'm already thinking about the next thought.
Yeah.
So I'm not even picking up what you have to offer, and there is no exchange in dialogue. What builds bonds and what builds relationships is the exchange, is the understanding of the other person that stands in opposition to me. When I'm able to understand where their mind is at, and I can listen long enough to comprehend what they're thinking about and consider what they're thinking about, then it adds to my conversation. I can now feed the conversation with something healthy based on where they're going, not just on where I'm going.
Yeah.
Read on.
It says social cues or use of a necessary filter.
It says what?
It says, but ADHD can also make it difficult to read social cues.
I can't read social cues. I can't pick up what other people are trying to tell me. So what will happen is I eventually end up talking by myself. People tune me out. And I didn't even realize that people tuned me out.
Yeah.
And I was still talking.
Yeah.
And these people, this person, they're looking at me, but they've already tuned me. They're already in mind somewhere else. It's like, damn, because I don't know how to pick up on, okay, now it's time for them to talk.
Yeah.
It's now time for me to listen. Asperger's can't do it. ADHD people have trouble doing it. These are difficulties. Read on.
Or that, say, prevents them from blurting out and interrupting with whatever's on their mind.
See, they can't control their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So every time it's time for me to listen, I keep talking. So I never really listen. So therefore, I never really know the truth about people and the way they feel. I never know the truth about their feelings. And now I'm too self-centered. But am I self-centered because I want to be? Not in this case. This case, I'm self-centered not because I want to be self-centered, because I have a diagnosis I have symptoms of a problem, of a disorder that I never remedied, that I never got help with, that I never knew about. Nobody's ever told me or explained to me what the hell is wrong with me. I'm impulsive, and I never knew why. I'm more likely to smoke cigarettes, and I never knew why. I'm more likely to drink and be a drunk and a drug addict, and I never knew why. Nobody ever explained to me what the hell is wrong with me. But now I'm supposed to be a student of Christ. But it requires that same ability to study. It requires the same ability to control your mind. It requires the same ability to pay attention. It requires the same ability to take notes. It requires the same ability to put my mind on one thing and not float mentally. How are you going to be a good student of Christ? It's going to be very difficult. But we got to be honest about the issues. Read.
Is it point 3?
Yeah. No, just finish.
It says, and thus maintain friendships.
It says, and whatever's on their mind, and thus maintain what?
And thus maintain friendships.
People with Asperger's and people with ADHD will have issues maintaining what?
Friendships.
They will have trouble maintaining friendship.
They forget they have friends.
You're supposed to be in the truth to retain friends. One of the most beautiful things that you get in the truth is you get people that care about you and you care about them, and you become like-minded, and you join, and that it creates a camaraderie that cannot be produced outside in the world, because there's no schemes attached. There's no devilish tendencies attached. There's no I'm trying to get over on you attached. I'm not trying to take advantage of you attached. You actually have people around you with your best interest in mind. And there's nothing that can replace friends that have your best interest in mind. But the problem is you can't be a friend because you're too one-sided as a person. How are you going to develop these friendships? Because in your mind, all you care about is what you have to say. And you only listen to you. How can you create and stimulate a relationship this way? Read.
It says, and thus maintain friendships with peers, as well as relationships with parents and siblings.
They have trouble with their parents.
And siblings, huh?
They have troubles with their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And they have troubles interacting with their peers.
Because
that's everybody. Who else is left?
Hold on, I'll tell you something. ADHD people, if you don't see people, they don't see you every day. I hate to say it, but they're guilty. This is a common thing.
Yeah.
They're guilty of forgetting people.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Listen, bro.
That's a real thing.
Bro. They're guilty of forgetting people, right? And they don't not love people. They forget because they only can attach their mind to what's in front of them. So people think they got a problem with them and stuff like that. Like, you got a problem? Like, nah.
Same scene.
So they don't get, yeah, and if you say, hey, I got ADHD, they're like, people don't know the connection, but there's, people ADHD talk about there's this guilt that rides them out. There's a guilt that rides ADHD.
Because I forgot about it.
Yeah.
But there's a fear of going into the room with people because you know that you didn't fulfill your requirements in that relationship, but you didn't do it because you had other things on your mind.
Well, you know, I'm gonna say this. I had that fear. You know, I forget people's names.
Oh, bro, that's real. Like,
and I be like, damn, this person, they know my name, and I be like,
that's the worst, bro.
I be like, what's up, bro? Yeah, big homie, big homie, bro.
That's the worst.
You know, it feel bad when you like, damn, I forgot this person's damn name.
Yeah.
But it's more than that, though. Yeah. It's bigger than that. It's more. You know what I haven't done? I actually haven't kept up with the investment that I initially had with this individual.
Yeah.
You know, I can't recite or remember the exchange that we had and what was important to this individual.
Yeah.
Read this for me right here.
Relationship problems. Multiple studies indicate adults with ADHD have elevated levels of emotional dysregulation.
He says elevated levels of emotional dysregulation, meaning that ADHD, you as an adult, you could be prone to not being able to control your emotions.
Yeah.
You could be emotionally unstable. Add in on top of the fact that you're already addicted to a substance and that there are some chemicals involved. Add on top of the fact that you had some trauma-induced issues growing up. Add on top of the fact that things are falling apart in your life and you're not organized.
Mm-hmm.
Add all these things up and what happens? Read.
It says emotional dysregulation, which is a poor ability to manage emotions.
It says poor ability to manage emotions. Go ahead.
Self-regulation of emotions.
Can't regulate my emotions. I go off what I feel and I'm up and down like a roller coaster. Read on.
Frustration.
I'm always frustrated. What else?
Impatience.
I'm always impatient. I can't wait. Somebody tell me to wait. I just can't wait. Yeah, what are all these the symptoms of?
Yeah.
ADHD, but I can't control my mind. I can't be patient. I have trouble being patient. I can't wait. I can't follow long enough to see the benefit of what somebody's telling me to wait for. What else?
And anger are difficult to manage with untreated ADHD.
Damn, so now I'm a grown man in the truth, and I'm supposed to be a student of Christ, but I never fixed these things that I was born with. How am I going to be a good student of Christ? And I can't control my emotions.
It's going to be a hard ride. These things, most High constantly brings conflict in your life to create a situation where you have to control the emotions.
You have to use spiritual virtues.
Yeah.
What controls emotions is virtues.
Yeah.
Temperance, patience, long suffering, meekness. These virtues are the ammunition and the defense mechanisms to what you may have been born with.
Yeah.
But if you never identify what you've been born with, you're going to have these problems. You're going to have social issues. You're going to have relationship issues. You're going to have anger management issues. You're going to have mental instability issues. And you're going to have all these things as an adult because I never fixed it as a child. No one's ever explained it to me. Nobody ever slowed things down. Or I was never honest with myself. I never did the research. I never was able to control my mind. I've been a bad student in school. Matter of fact, read on. With that relationships.
Come on. Self-regulation of emotions, frustration, impatience, and anger are difficult to manage when untreated.
Read this part right here.
Okay. Job instability.
And now my relationships crash and burn. And now what else crashes and burns?
Adults with ADHD struggle with a variety of challenges in the workplace.
In the what?
In the workplace.
Is my job situation smooth?
Nope.
Is my home situation smooth?
Nope.
Is my relationship situation smooth?
Nope.
My internal issues that may have come from birth that I couldn't control, that I was born into, may be affecting everything around me, and I don't even know it. But it's too many things that are compounding that's showing me I have deep issues that are untreated. So what happens?
It says, including poor communication skills.
I have what?
Poor communication skills.
Go ahead.
Distractibility.
Go ahead.
Procrastination.
I say I'm gonna do something and don't. What else?
And difficulty managing challenging projects.
I can't stay on task to finish a project. People that have ADHD are the masters of starting something but never finish it.
Okay.
They never complete what they start. They have a hard time. Say never. They have a very difficult time completing what they start.
Yes.
Why is this? It's because ADHD affects the part of the brain that operates the executive function. And the executive function in the brain is the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that doesn't develop fully until you're 25. Because the brain is still developing up until you're 25 years old. But if you had some drugs and alcohol, or you've had an underdeveloped or unstimulated prefrontal cortex, then you don't mature like other people mature and have stabilized hormones and stabilized emotions. So, but that part of the brain is what controls executive function, meaning that I know what to do, but I don't know how to perform the thing that I know what to do. I don't know how to perform what to do. I know how to do something. I understand what to do, but the actual action of completion, I rarely complete what I start. I have trouble executing what I know what I'm supposed to do. Execution is a problem. I don't know how to finish anything. I can start a lot of things, but all these are indicators of instability and disorders that we may have been born with, that if we don't identify or be honest with, they will create problems in our life, our relationships, our jobs, in every aspect of living. Our peers, our families, our siblings, our parents, our wives, our husbands, our children, because of these unfixed, unrepaired issues. Undiagnosed, untreated. Now here we have the opportunity to combat all of the ailments and dysfunctions that we possess as people. And yet, we're not honest enough about what it is that we fight or deal with or that troubles us. We're not honest. Because you know what? My pride don't let me say I got issues. My pride doesn't let me say I need help. My pride doesn't let me say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm irregular in thought process. Yes, sir.
You're too embarrassed to tell anybody.
Yeah.
You got too much shame, bothered up, whatever, embarrassment. You don't want to out yourself like that because you're afraid of how people are going to look at you.
Yep. Read this right here. Number 3. And we're almost done with these points. I just want to bring these points out. There's one more point I want to bring out. Let me see that.
Real life problem.
Yeah, but these are just, class is almost over. We just want to bring out couple more points. Read that right there.
Inability to perform day-to-day tasks.
It says, I have inability to perform what?
Day-to-day tasks.
Go ahead.
As a parent, there can also be a sense of frustration.
And now if you got a child that shows these attributes, it'll cause you to be frustrated. If you're a teacher and you have students that show these attributes, it will be frustrating. Go ahead.
There's an inability to execute thoughts and behaviors from the beginning to end.
It says what?
From the beginning to end.
Read that right there.
It says predominantly inattentive ADHD often will start but does not finish schoolwork, chores,
Homework. I won't finish my homework. I turn in homework. I act like I got scriptophobia, graphophobia, or paperophobia. I don't want to touch paperwork. Paperwork is a problem for me. I don't finish my home. I say I'm going to do my homework. We check homework here. Brothers got homework to turn in on the daily. Some men turn in a blank binder and didn't even realize that you was going to check it.
Yeah, playing games.
And then put a date on it with nothing on it. Yeah, that's frustrating. Go ahead.
It says they have a hard time. They do not finish schoolwork, chores, or work tasks. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Often has difficulty staying organized.
They have trouble staying what?
Organized.
Keeping up with things, organizing things. Go ahead.
And maintaining time management.
Time management. Time slips through their hands.
Mm-hmm.
They're always running out of time or running late, running behind. Go ahead.
Often tries to avoid homework.
They try to avoid homework. Like I said, we got homework. How you be a student of Christ? You don't turn in your work. You don't write your scriptures down. You don't study. Read on.
Reports or completing forms.
Reports, manuscripts, forms, paperwork. Paperwork's a problem. What else?
Often loses things.
There it is. Like I said earlier. Forget my keys. Forget my wallet. What did I do with this? Where did I put that? What else?
Is often easily distracted.
Go ahead.
Is often forgetful.
And I'm forgetful. So if I battle these things, is it good for me to lie about it?
No.
Oh, if you have pride, like you said in the beginning of class. If you got pride.
All you do is lose more time.
You're going to lie about it. Because I don't admit it.
Yeah.
So these are just some issues. We're just bringing this out because we just want to touch just bases about what may be something that either we were born with, something that was trauma induced or brought to us, something that was invited to us or we brought on ourselves by way of lust, or some things that we choose to do that's just wrong.
Yeah.
But we gotta identify these things. Now, I think that's enough on that point. There's all types of stuff on the internet. You want to know about ADHD and its symptoms? There's so many different websites.
Effects.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there's people online that do shorts. They do that's on TikTok. They do shorts about living with it, and you'll be surprised. It's like the common experience. They like. There's a story. There's one dude. He's eating some food, and he goes, "You know what? I ain't gonna cut off the stove." And on the way to cut off the stove, he said, "Oh, I forgot to clean this dish." After I cleaned the dish, he said, "In the middle of cleaning the dish, oh, I need to go to the bathroom." Goes to the bathroom, and he looks like he's like, I need to go ahead and but I want to take a shower. And he takes a shower, and he's like, you know what? I'm hungry.
Yeah, I know what you're
And
talking
he's
about.
like, hungry. Brother, your stomach's just burning on the stove, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has a succession of tasks and he's like in this loop of distraction.
Loop of distractions and hard to complete and finish what he started.
He always says, I might as well. That's how you know he's going to do his task.
Yeah.
It's like when you try to go to a room to get something accomplished. Like, I forgot my wallet here, so I'm going to go to this room. Then you get into the room like, why am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Then go back downstairs. They're like, where ain't my wallet? Let me go back to this room again.
And then you say, damn, I'm running late.
I
I gotta get out of here. And then while you're driving, you're like, damn, that's what I forgot. I forgot my wallet when you're at the drive-thru. You're at the drive-thru trying to order some food. Then it's like, damn, that's what I forgot. I forgot my wallet. But then you're in this perpetual wheel of misfortune.
Yeah.
Not the wheel of fortune, the wheel of misfortune. It says 60% of adults, 60% of children that were diagnosed with ADHD persist into adulthood. And it follows them. They don't get it fixed, and it follows them into adulthood. So, it's also brought on genetically.
Yeah.
Genetics play a major role in having some of these dysfunctions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some things you were born with. If your parents had it, you had it. You're gonna have it if your parents had it. So some of it has a lot to do with it.
Diet is a huge factor as well. A high sugar diet in children is what intensifies ADHD.
Red dye 40.
Yep.
All them dyes stimulate brain inactivity or overactivity.
You can't have certain French fries, like McDonald's French fries. The trans fats in the French fries, but trans fats in general, what it does is it stops the production of a hormone in your brain that calms you down. So in New York, when they banned trans fats and they had to stop putting trans fats in foods, all the academic scores went up.
All the kids' test scores went up.
What the hell's going on?
Because there's no trans fat
They
in it.
found out the trans fats were a main culprit in the lack of production of the brain hormone.
Seed oils, all that.
Now, they say that Asperger's and ADHD cannot be cured, because I want to answer the sister's question. They say it cannot be cured, but it can be managed.
Yes.
You could live and manage your life successfully while still dealing with things that you were born with. no different than people that are handicapped from the waist down, and they still cook, they still clean, they still drive. I had an uncle that was shot in the back. He was paralyzed from the waist down. He still drove his kids to work. He still had children after that.
Wow.
But he had a wheelchair, and he removed the front seat of his van, and he would roll his wheelchair up to the van, click the motor, and then wheel himself up to the front, and he would drive with his hands. He had a pedal that would do the brakes and the gas, and he would still drive paralyzed from the waist down. You can still function with physical handicaps. You can still function with psychological handicaps. But there's some things you can't control, some things you cannot control. But you got to be honest. Are you choosing your sickness? Or are you just a victim of not fixing what you was born with? Or you just indulging in something you should have let go a long time ago and grew out of? It's our job to aid this process. How do we know this? Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23. Let that go in 2 Timothy. You read it, my Waller. Proverbs 27, 23.
Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 23 reads. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Proverbs chapter 27 verse 23 reads, Be thou diligent to know the estate of thy flocks.
Now, as a leader, the Bible says, us as leaders, it says we have a job to do. Read it again.
Come. Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 23 reads, Be thou diligent
It
to
says
know.
our job as leaders is to start analyzing the flock. Our job is to assess the flock. What is the issues that the flock possess? That's our job. What's wrong with them? We got to keep asking ourselves those questions. What's wrong with our people? I don't understand our people. The war taught me that. If you don't judge them unless you understand them. If you don't understand them, don't judge them. You got to keep asking yourself, what is their problem? And I don't understand. You got to be honest. I don't understand their problem. Let me keep digging. I have to keep digging and find out, what is this person's problem? Is it just that they're wicked? That's the obvious call that anybody could say, like a teacher in school with a child that has ADHD. Oh, you're just a bad kid. Anybody can use that blanket statement and say, oh, you're just wicked. You're just negative. Or if you actually care about the flock, you'll start digging up and asking yourself those questions. What is this person's problem? What is going on with this individual? Why does this person have this repetitive behavior still ongoing and long-standing for this amount of time? What are they dealing with? Is it physical? Is it psychological? Is it emotional? Is it trauma-induced? Is it chemically induced? Is it drug-induced? What the hell is the problem? Are they not? Can they read? Can they comprehend? Can they write? What is the issue? The job of the elders are to analyze and decipher what is the sickness and what are we dealing with the flock. The flock is going to come sick with a multitude of dysfunctions. And we wonder why the relationships go to hell. They make babies and make babies and their relationship dissolve right after that, or right during that time frame. How there's social inequalities, and I don't understand what it means. I lack what some people call social reciprocity. Somebody get that definition. Reciprocity. I don't have social reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
And somebody else get the definition of conventions.
Right. It says reciprocity refers to a mutual exchange.
So some people with Asperger's or ADHD, they don't understand reciprocity. They have no ability to mutually exchange what?
It says a mutual exchange or relationship where two parties perform corresponding actions.
It says where two parties perform corresponding actions. How to be good for each other. I don't know how to make a relationship where we're good for each other. I don't know how to correspond with the person that I'm supposed to be in a relationship with. So if you don't know how to correspond with the person you're in a relationship with, what is all that's going to be present every day? Fighting, arguments, contention,
Litigation.
clashes, debates, yelling, crying. That's all that's going to be there. Because I don't understand what it takes to actually merge myself with somebody and make a damn relationship. Finish that definition?
It says, a mutual exchange or relationship where two parties perform corresponding actions based on the actions of others.
Based on your actions, I know how to respond to you correctly. Instead of just getting out, going crazy and becoming over emotional because of something you said, I know how to control myself. I know how to contain myself. I know how to respond because you went out of order or you got crazy. I know how to respond to you and deal with you. But you got people that don't understand this. So I'm gonna respond to your exchange based on how you what you told me. And all we're gonna do is keep escalating and compounding on the problems versus solving the problems and coming to a solution. I don't know how to dissolve a disagreement or a misunderstanding. Misunderstandings get out of control. Because I don't understand what it means to have formal reciprocity in dealing with an exchange. No different with conventions. Read that definition of the word conventions. Because people that have either Asperger's or ADHD, they could want a relationship as bad as anybody as they get older, but they don't have the conventions to make it work. What does that mean, that word conventions?
Conventions, ways in which things are usually done, especially within a particular area or activity.
It says so they're missing something. They're missing on the knowledge of what it takes to make something work. There's a method to making something work. There's a certain exchange of what feeds a relationship. It just can't be sex. Anybody that just thinks that sex is going to build a relationship and is strong enough to maintain a relationship, you're out of your mind. It's not going to be sex. And it can't be money. If you think money is going to solve the problem in a relationship, you're out of your mind. You're still going to be unhappy. You're going to be wealthily unhappy. You'll be Birkin bag, red bottom shoes unhappy. Still miserable. You be in your Mercedes miserable. Money don't solve relationships. It doesn't make compatibility. See, people that have dysfunctions, they don't know what to look for in a relationship. They don't know how to make a relationship work, and it may be due to a dysfunction they possess. Because they don't know how to mutually exchange, and they don't know what to give this other person to make this person want to give me more.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feed this person to make them want to do right by me. It's a disaster. They don't have the conventions, or they don't have the method of how to make a bond or relationship work. But, read that again, my woman.
Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23 reads, "Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flock."
That's why if you're a leader, an elder in the camp, it's necessary that we have to be diligent in knowing the estate of the flock. What are our people dealing with? What is the congregation dealing with? What the hell is wrong with our people? And you can't just say they're wicked. That's easy. Because everybody's wicked. You got to keep asking questions and keep digging to find out, to get to the bottom of what is the core issues of these problems. Why do people think this way? We don't have all the answers, but we can do some digging until things start to make sense. Read.
"And look well to thy herds."
It says, and you're supposed to look well to who?
To thy herds.
So our job is to keep finding out what's wrong. Where's the problem? Where's the dysfunction? Where's the issue? We have to at least identify what are they dealing with. What are they sick with? What do they have? What are they diseased with? Now Christ knew the healing. Scripture says one man planted, another watered, But the Most High give it the increase. But at least for us, we can at least start to identify the issue. So we at least come up with some type of solution based on the scriptures. Yes, sir.
What you just described, I have a word, a definition for it.
What you got?
It perfectly lines up with how people just pass off as, oh, he's just, he just don't get it, or she's just stupid, or she just been like that on it. She's just rude, just to be rude. This person is just hateful.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the word. It's dismissive, and I have the definition for dismissive.
What you got?
It says acting in a way that shows a lack of respect or consideration for someone's feelings, thoughts, or experiences.
Read it again.
Dismissive. Acting in a way that shows a lack of respect or consideration for someone's feelings, thoughts, or experiences.
And
so
our
you
job,
just dismiss.
I dismiss what
There's
could be something there, deeper there, but because I don't want to do the legwork, and it inconveniences me to do the legwork, I'd rather just classify this person as being wicked.
Pass it off as something.
Pass it off as something else, because I don't want to do the legwork. I don't want to look well to the herd. When you look well to the herd, that means you're driven by something more than just, okay, well, this sheep is limping. Is it ticks? Is it fleas? Is it malnutrition? Are they missing a vitamin? Did they get injured? Did they get bit? Do they have a cyst? Is it internal? You got to start asking yourself. But this is what you got to do with our people, because our people they're coming with the sickness. They're coming with it. They're coming with flaws. Some born with it. Some introduced it by way of lust, and some choose it. Yes, sir.
Doesn't that dismissiveness coincide with the Isaiah 65:5?
Yeah, it does. But an elder has a job to not dismiss the problem and to dig. We can't quit on our people. Christ didn't quit on us.
Yeah.
And we're sick as hell. Last verse. Let me last verse for the day. Let's do 1 Thessalonians 5:12, and this will be the last one. Yeah, you got it. You read it.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5:12.
Read that. Last verse.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5:12. Verse 12. And we beseech you, brethren.
It said, and this is our job as brothers. Read on.
To know them which labor among you.
It's our job to do what?
To know them which labor among you.
That have an understanding of those that labor with us. Know what their issues are. Know what builds them up. What makes them weak. What makes them strong. Know what their flaws are. Know how to get the best out of them. Know what they're dealing with. Read on.
And are over you in the Lord.
But just like the elders got a responsibility to look well to the flock and to be diligent in his shepherdship and oversight of the flock, it's also the flock's job to do what? To be obedient to who?
Over you.
To those that are over you. So it's a mutual exchange. It's the responsibility of the elders to be diligent of the condition and the status and the state of the flock. But it's also equally as important that the flock have respect for who? The elders. Because they're doing a job and they benefit from each other. They're looking at my issues, showing me how to root out or diagnose or fix or identify my problems and work on them. So let me make it easy on them by respecting them, being obedient to them. See how it's a mutual exchange between the flock and the shepherd? That's how it's supposed to be in a camp, in a church setting. The flock got to make it easy for the shepherds to do their job, because they do have a job to do. Finish that.
God. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord, and admonish you.
Yes, and the flock got to make it easy to be admonished, which is to be mildly corrected. If you make it hard for the flock, for the shepherds to correct you, you're going to make it hard for them to identify what the hell is wrong with you, and you'll be stuck with your sickness for a longer period of time. Yeah, it'll be prolonged. It'll be progressive. It'll be unrefined, and you're gonna be stuck with it. You're gonna be stuck with this problem for a long time. But whether it be in the camp or out the camp, you're still gonna have this problem.
You have compounding factors. You will have one battle, and then you'll ignore it, deny, and then you look up. The Most High said, "Well, if you fought the battle or not, whatever." Now it's time to peel the onion and reveal the next layer of lore. Then you have two battles. When you look up, that's not that serious. Like, okay, cool, it's not that serious. More time passes by, more months, more situations, life advances, and then the third layer opens up. Now you have 3 layers of this onion, which is you, with no answer, and you feel like you're drowning in the truth.
Yep.
You feel like wherever you go, you're failing. You have this, I'm failing in my house, I'm failing at the job, I'm failing in the camp, I can't do nothing right. Then you have this intense pressure, I'm panicking, I'm drowning. And then you look up and you say, I'm going to say, no, ignore the correction again. The Most High opens the 4th layer of issue you have and bring it to your information. Now, the idea is, this is not for me. I can't, the idea of escape becomes seductive, because you're going to think, you're going to lie to yourself and say, well, this issue is because of this environment. And you're going to run and quit. And then you're going to be like, wow.
But you're going to run and quit with your untreated issues.
That's the problem. And brothers think, this is the game. Brothers think that because they leave this environment, that was over there. I'm good now, I'm straight now.
But they still have these issues.
But just to realize and get married and remarried and go to new jobs and be around new people and have all the same counsel, and they come back, you know all that stuff you told me back in the day,
You were right, bro.
It's a repetitive conversation.
And we see it all the time. We see it all the time where brothers thought it was greater later. Yep. And they thought, you were just making it hard on me. You were just you didn't like me, or you was, man, you know what? That's not the truth. That's not the case. The shepherds have a job, and the flock got a job. The shepherds got to be diligent and look into the health of the status of the flock. The flock got a job to be obedient to the shepherds, because they're helping each other. They're aiding. You see it in the animal kingdom. When hippos go on the water, they got fish that suck parasites off their skin. Yeah. When hippos come out on land, they open their mouth. Birds come pick out the meat that's in their teeth. Crocodiles do the same thing. They work together. They're working together.
They have a symbiotic relationship.
That's how the Most High do it. But the shepherd and the flock supposed to work together too. The flock's supposed to make it easier for the shepherd to identify the issues and help him with it. Finish that verse.
That was the end of 12. You want 13?
One more time, verse 12. So
verse
we understand
12.
One more time.
And we, 1 Thessalonians 5 and 12. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you.
Go ahead.
And are over you in the Lord.
Go ahead.
And admonish you.
So their job is to what?
Admonish you.
Correct you. Because you know why? You got flaws. We come in with flaws. Why would I make it hard for the individuals to assess my problems and help me look at removing them? Why would I want to make their job hard when it's my problem? It's my dysfunction. These are my issues.
I didn't take responsibility for it.
That if I don't let them do their job, I will leave untreated. I'll be left sick. We understand the point? That's why the class is called Uncut Gems. You either get cut and become a true stone, a polished stone, or you stay raw in your sickness.
It kept happening.
Yeah, and be the same person that you always been, but had opportunity to be different. All right. With that, we're going to say shalom. We'll see everybody on Friday. The wonderful coming out in class, and shalom and to your families. We'll be back next Wednesday for Wednesday night class, most high willing. That we have back in action on Friday.
Maybe Elisha this time.
Oh, Elisha back in action on Friday. All right. Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
Shalom.